Chapter 1084. I can feel that woman's scent lingering in the air in that direction, Helei said. I think we should contact the president first, West said. From the previous situation, Helei's mother was a black witch. She could summon 10 ghost ships. This was obvious. At least, none of them were confident that they could deal with her. If they encountered a black witch after being separated from Qinzhao, they would be in a very passive situation. So, they had to find Qinzhao first. Which direction did the president go? West asked. That direction, Lisa said. It's the same direction as Helei's mother. In other words, they're right behind her. We'll go in that direction too. Ah! Someone in the team suddenly screamed. The team tensed up and turned to look at the person. Half of the person's body had sunk into the ground. Frowning, Channing Layton had someone pull the person out of the ground. However, when the person was pulled out, the hole in the ground attracted Channing Layton's attention again. Because it seemed to be empty below, Channing Layton looked into the hole. There wasn't enough light, but he could still see clearly. There were countless skeletons buried below. There were adults and children. There were probably hundreds of skeletons in the 10-square-meter hole. Channing Layton discovered that there was a cracked stone wall at the edge of the hole. There were broken stones under the wall. The back of the wall should be empty. Go down and take a look, Channing Layton said. One of the subordinates put on a searchlight hat and jumped down from the zip line. The subordinate glanced at the countless skeletons under his feet. With each step, the ground would creak. Go in that direction and try the wall. Channing Layton stood above and ordered the subordinate. The subordinate came to the wall and knocked on it with his hammer. A hollow sound came from the wall. Boss, it's empty behind. Knock it open, Channing Layton said. The subordinate increased his strength and knocked the wall open. Pieces fell off layer by layer, revealing a tunnel. Boss, it's a tunnel. It's very wide. Should they go in and explore? Channing Layton was hesitant. Alger, go get Zoran and Emily. We need to discuss this with them. Soon, Zoran and Emily came over. Did you find anything? See for yourselves. We discovered this. This seems to be the passageway to the ancient altar. I didn't think that you would be able to find this passageway. Zoran was somewhat surprised. What ancient altar? This ancient altar is the altar used by the massacre, and the direction we are heading to now is the ancient altar. In other words, the Black Witch's destination was the ancient altar. That's right. My ancestors have been studying the St. Seco clan's plans for generations, but they have never found any useful clues. However, we feel that the St. Seco clan might have left something in the ancient altar. Then which way is faster to get to the ancient altar? Channing Layton asked. The passage to the ancient altar is a passage for the nobles. Of course, the path below is faster. However, according to the family's records, this path is not that safe. Some of the traps were set up to prevent intruders. I don't know if these traps are still in use after thousands of years. These ancient traps are nothing to worry about, Channing Layton said calmly. Also, it's best if we can stop the Black Witch from finding that thing in case something happens. So, we have to get to the ancient altar as soon as possible. If we get the thing first, it'll be more beneficial for us. What do you think? I agree. Zoran and Emily both accepted Channing Layton's suggestion. Everyone entered the ancient passageway in a single file. Be careful of that Asian. After entering the passageway, Channing Layton told his subordinates, if he does anything strange, shoot him dead. There was some distance between them, but Qinzhao could still hear their conversation. However, Qinzhao could not be bothered with them. Who are these skeletons? Alger asked. Probably civilians who hid here during the massacre. They didn't dare to enter the passageway, so they squeezed in here. No, they were killed, Chen Zhao interrupted. There's only so much space. Even a few hundred people can't hide here, unless they were all killed and dumped here. Zoran glanced at Chen Zhao and did not say anything else. Just then, intense gunshots came from the front. Alger, Zoran, and Emily immediately sped up to the front of the group. Uncle, what's wrong? Shannon Laidon frowned, a serious expression on his face. In the passageway not far away, there was a corpse. The corpse was rather strange. They could not tell what kind of creature it was. It had no head, tail, or front or back. There were only 4 symmetrical limbs with symmetrical claws. It was not big, perhaps the size of an orange cat. After being shot, its limbs were spread out on the ground. Its body seemed very light. What is this? Alger asked, confused. Dark minions, monsters created by the Black Witch. According to my family's records, the Black Witch can summon thousands of dark minions. They don't need to eat anything and are completely obedient to the Black Witch. They can fight on land or in the water. They can climb onto walls or treetops and hide in the dark, then ambush when the enemy is unprepared. 1 or 2 dark minions might not be much of a threat, but if there's a large number of them, even an army will be crushed, Zoran said. What a disgusting magical creature. Alger kicked the dark minion's corpse on the ground. Chen Zhao walked up and picked up the dark minions, looking left and right. The dark minions they spoke of were also called headless in hell. They were a rather delicious food. They could eat, but their mouths were underneath their bodies, like octopuses. However, these things could not be cooked in normal ways. As for how to cook them, Chen Zhao had to contact the handsome guy when he was free and ask how to cook them. Can you give this to me? What are you going to do with it? Alger asked, frowning. Eat, Chen Zhao said matter-of-factly. Everyone looked at Chen Zhao with a strange expression. This guy must have gone crazy from hunger. He dares to eat something like this. Isn't he afraid of dying from eating it? Chapter 1085. Alger, keep an eye on him, Charning Laidon said. He didn't panic at all when he saw the dark minions. It doesn't look like it's his first time seeing magic creatures. Uncle, you suspect that he's with the Black Witch? That's possible, Charning Laidon said. Charning Laidon said, you said that he jumped off the ship before the Black Witch attacked the pirate ship. I don't think he did it to commit suicide, but to avoid the Black Witch's attack. Maybe he led the Black Witch to attack. Alger felt that Charning Laidon's explanation made sense. Take this and get close to him. Charning Laidon gave Alger a ring. There was a spirit stone embedded on it. If he's a spiritualist, the stone on the ring will light up. Okay, got it. It wasn't Alger's first time using the ring to test someone, so he was familiar with it. Alger pretended that nothing had happened and casually walked to Chen Zhao's side. He hid his hands in his pants pockets. However, he didn't see the pocket light up for a moment, but it quickly disappeared. The spirit stone could indeed test someone's magic power, but if it exceeded the limit, it would self-destruct, just like an electrical short circuit. Alger took out his hand and secretly glanced at the ring on it. It didn't light up. It seemed that he wasn't a spiritualist. Since he wasn't, his threat was greatly reduced. Even if he was related to the Black Witch, it didn't matter. There were many damages along the way, but they weren't from the corrosion of time. They looked like they'd been damaged by some sharp weapon. Judging from these traces, a battle had taken place here. Or maybe it was a massacre. The team would occasionally encounter a dark minions. Weird. Is the Black Witch crazy? Can these dark minions be a threat to us if they're released one by one? Channing Laidon was confused. He turned to Zoran and Emily. What do you think? I'm confused too. First, how did she know we were in the secret passage? Unless she was the one who arranged for us to enter the secret tunnel. Channing Laidon's heart skipped a beat. He abruptly turned his head and searched among his subordinates for the one who had sunk into the ground. You are a traitor. The man abruptly raised his head to look at Channing Laidon. Then, with lightning speed, he raised his gun and shot himself in the chin. Oh no, it's a trap. Alger panicked. Let's go. We can't go anymore. We're already in the middle of the secret passage. We can only go forward. There's no turning back. Just then, Chen Zhao suddenly said, I see. Everyone looked at him. What are you talking about? It's nothing. You guys continue. Chen Zhao finally figured out why the corpses at the entrance were acting strangely. At this moment, in the center of the island, the Black Witch Ava and her subordinates stood inside a huge ring-shaped altar. To the left of the ring-shaped altar was a huge lake. The lake was like a natural sapphire embedded in the center of the island. Master, the people from the Altheo family and the Laidon family have already entered the secret passage according to plan. A black-clothed woman came to Aiwa's side and said. And, then let's follow the plan. Aiwa said indifferently. Adam had been standing beside Ava in silence the whole time. He hadn't known Ava's plan before. But gradually, he knew. The Altheo family and the Laidon family probably wouldn't even dream of it. They'd gotten his mother's whereabouts because his mother had purposely leaked it. It was to heavily injure them. Actually, it was a very simple scheme. But the effect was very good. That was to directly draw the lake water into the secret passage. At Ava's command, the barrier between the lake water and the secret passage's exit was immediately opened. Instantly, the lake water surged into the secret passage. Other than the lake water, many dark minions also surged into the passage. Dark minions could adapt to most environments. On land, their four limbs could run very fast. In the water, they could swim freely. He had to admit that his mother's vicious methods were something even he couldn't compare to. But he was very glad that at least he didn't have to be enemies with his mother. Rumble, what's that sound? Channing Laidon asked, puzzled. At the same time, the airflow in the passage became very unstable, blowing toward the team in the passage. An ominous feeling rose in everyone's heart. Chen Zhao had already guessed it. He found a place with a handhold and grabbed the wall. What are you doing? There's water surging toward us, Chen Zhao said. What? Everyone paled in fright. But before they could react, the water was already rushing toward them. Instantly, the entire passage fell into chaos. Before it happened, Chen Zhao had already thought it through. The dark minions from before weren't there to attack the team. They were there to find out where the team was. If the team was too close to the passage, they would have a chance to retreat. Thus, he had to find out where the team was. Along the way, Chen Zhao realized that it was too clean. He thought of the bones in the deep pit when he'd entered. They hadn't been thrown down from above. They'd been in the passage when they were alive. Then, someone had let water wash them into the deep pit. Just then, something stuck to Chen Zhao's face. Chen Zhao pulled it down. It was actually a dark minion. This black witch was really meticulous. Just letting the lake water flow into the passage was enough to put them in danger. There were even dark minions mixed in the water. However, Chen Zhao realized that Channing Laidon and the others weren't just sitting there waiting for death. They actually had portable breathing apparatus with them. Moreover, their weapons could be used freely in the water. Of course, at least half of them were washed away the moment the lake water rushed over. The backpacks on their backs could actually spit out strong air currents to push them forward. Their equipment is really good, Chen Zhao thought. Chen and Lei Dan looked back and saw Chen Zhao clinging to the wall. But he clearly didn't plan on helping. To him, Chen Zhao would definitely die. Without underwater thrusters or portable breathing apparatus, Chen Zhao didn't need the dark minions. The lake water alone could kill him. Therefore, he did not linger any longer and took the lead to rush forward. Seeing that the people who'd reacted had all left, Chen Zhao also started swimming forward. Chapter 1086. Chaining laden, Alga, Zoran, Emily, and their 20 subordinates all crawled out of the exit. Chaining laden looked at Ava and her 5 subordinates at the center of the altar. Ava, long time no see. Are you surprised to see me? Chaining laden's tone was filled with nostalgia. No, not at all. Chaining laden, I already knew that this little trick wouldn't kill you. Ava turned to look at Chaining laden. You have nowhere to run now. Chaining laden's tone suddenly changed, becoming filled with hatred. Now, it's time to settle the score between us. Do you think you can do it? Ava said unhurriedly. Cough, cough. Just then, another person crawled out of the secret passage. Chen Zhao wiped the water off his face. The weather is so good today. When Adam saw Chen Zhao, his brows furrowed. Mother, he's the person beside Hallie's. They call him President. Sir, hello. What's your name? Ava smiled at Chen Zhao. My friends call me Chin. Chen Zhao returned a smile. Are you Hallie's mother? Yes, thank you for taking care of my daughter. If I tell you that I encouraged your daughter to kill you, will you be angry? No, I'm very grateful that you brought my daughter to me. I haven't seen her in a long time. Ava was beautiful and very young. She didn't look like the mother of an 18 or 19-year-old girl at all. She didn't look like a 360-years-old woman either. Chaining laden and the others were confused. They didn't understand the relationship between Chen Zhao and Ava at all. Friends? Or enemies? Mr. Chen, you better stay away from them, Ava said, pointing at Chaining laden and the others. Why? Because I'm afraid you'll be affected, Ava said. With that, Ava said to her subordinates, Ellen. Yes, master. The witch called Irene walked out. Prepare for battle. Chaining laden ordered. He knew that someone who could follow Ava wouldn't be an ordinary person. However, this woman named Irene was not part of his battle plan. In the past, Ava had always been a loner. She had never had any subordinates. But now, she had so many subordinates around her. Please start your performance. Chen Zhao shouted, already hiding far away. Whether it was Irene, Chaining laden, or the rest, all of them had black lines on their faces. Shut up. Irene suddenly threw a stone at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao froze. The stone was neither fast nor big. Does she want to kill me with this stone? Chen Zhao's speed was at least 1/3 of the speed of sound. Even a regular person should be able to dodge it. Chen Zhao was about to mock him, but the pebble was already before him. But in the next instant, the stone suddenly grew bigger. Fuck. Chen Zhao immediately dodged. Rumble, the stone rolled away from Chen Zhao. What kind of magic was this? The pebble, which was originally the size of a pebble, became tens of thousands of times bigger. Seeing this, Chaining laden immediately shouted, Scatter, scatter. Fortunately, Irene's first attack was aimed at Chen Zhao, so he discovered her magic. Irene took out 2 pistols and pointed them at Chaining laden and the rest. Then, she started shooting. The bullets that had been fired instantly multiplied, turning into huge bullets that flew out like cars. Bang, 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 Channing Layton and the rest covered their heads and scurried away. However, there were also people who did not dodge. As long as they were hit by the bullets, they would all be smashed into pieces. This magic is so interesting. Chen Zhao sat on the huge stone from before. But before he could even sit down, the stone suddenly disappeared. Chen Zhao almost fell to the ground. Chen Zhao realized that the stone had shrunk again. What a pity. Chen Zhao pouted. He'd thought that the stone would grow permanently. So it could only last less than a minute. With her 2 pistols, Irene completely suppressed Channing Layton and the rest in terms of firepower. But Irene's marksmanship was probably from the same school as Chen Zhao. Random marksmanship. Fortunately, Irene's marksmanship was super bad. Otherwise, Channing Layton and the rest would probably all be dead. Bang! Irene suddenly jumped away. A hole had appeared on the ground where she'd been standing. Irene's muzzle immediately turned to the other side of the forest and fired. The bullet destroyed several large trees like crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. A figure rolled out. It was Domingo. Domingo's body was very agile. As he rolled, he fired another shot at Ellen. Blood bloomed on Irene's arm. She had to abandon her gun and retreat. Master, I'm sorry. Irene returned injured. She lowered her head and didn't dare to look at Ava. It's okay, child. You did well. Ava smiled faintly. Practice more marksmanship next time. Ava could tell that even if Irene wasn't injured, she wouldn't be able to last long. After all, her multiplying spell was very mana-consuming. She wouldn't be able to keep using amplification for too long. Channing Layton and the rest finally heaved a sigh of relief. There had been 20 people, but only 10 were left now. Fortunately, Domingo had arrived. Otherwise, they might really have been killed by one of Ava's subordinates. Alger, are you okay? Domingo called. Domingo, thank goodness you came. Alger was very happy to see Domingo. At this moment, another team appeared from another direction. Chen Zhao's pirates had finally arrived. Ava looked to the left and right. Great. Looks like everyone's here. Ava was very happy. Helios, are you okay? Mother, I'm here to kill you. Are you ready? Helios' face was cold. Ha! Helios, I haven't seen you for so many years. You've become so humorous. Fios, on the other hand, was confused. What was going on here? Who were the people in the middle? She was probably the only person who was completely unrelated to the situation at the scene. What exactly is it that gave you the illusion that you can kill me? Aiwa smiled and asked, is it him? Did he encourage you? No, from the moment I found out the truth, I've always wanted to kill you. It's the only thing I'm passionate about. Helios, don't be afraid. Go. I'll cover for you. Chapter 1087. Fios looked at Chen Zhao. What was wrong with this guy? Who encouraged their daughter to kill their mother? Also, wasn't that Asian supposed to be their enemy? Smiling, Ava looked at Helith. Helith, you've indeed grown, but it's not enough. Is that so? 11 silhouettes appeared beside Helith. Fios rubbed her eyes. What was going on? Was she seeing things? Chen Zhao looked at the sky. It was broad daylight and the sun was bright. Could Helith's evil spirit servants use their full power? Ava didn't move. She still smiled at Helith. At this moment, another witch beside Ava walked out. Master, let me do it. Okay, go. Ava nodded. Melinda, don't kill her. She's my daughter, after all. The witch called Melinda had a rather cold attitude. She nodded and walked forward. The others took the initiative to retreat, including Ava. Go away, Heleth said coldly. This is between me and her. If you don't want to die, go away. Melinda's eyes widened. Countless electric arcs exploded from her body. The surrounding ground was all pierced by the electric arcs. Gravel flew everywhere. Melinda pointed at Heleth. The electric arcs also shot at Heleth. Taken aback, Heleth hurriedly turned into mist and dispersed. But as soon as she moved and recovered, the electric arcs chased after her again. Heleth had no choice but to change directions again. Fioza's eyes almost popped out. Had she transmigrated? Was this still the world she'd been in? Were they fighting with superpowers? Just then, a figure suddenly appeared behind Melinda. Everyone was stunned. Why did Chen Zhao suddenly intervene? Chen Zhao put a hand on Melinda's shoulder. At the same time, he turned to Ava. Sorry, I'm interested in her. Get someone else. With that, Chen Zhao dragged Melinda to the side. Let go. Electric arcs exploded from Melinda. But Chen Zhao didn't even pause. It was as if he didn't feel the shock at all. Only the people of the association knew that the witch called Melinda would never be able to do anything in Chen Zhao's hands. Judging from the amount of electricity Melinda emitted, it probably couldn't even touch a hair on Chen Zhao's body. Chen Zhao dragged Melinda to the edge. Is that all you got? Can you make it bigger? Ava narrowed her eyes at Chen Zhao. She had no intention of saving Melinda. She was analyzing the spells Chen Zhao was good at. To be able to withstand Melinda's lightning magic, could it be that he was also of the lightning element? Hearing that, Melinda was furious. No one had ever said that the voltage was too low to her face. Go to hell. Melinda increased her mana output to the maximum. She also grabbed Chen Zhao's wrist. Sizzle, all the electricity surged into his body. But Chen Zhao was still unmoved. Chen Zhao squeezed Melinda's shoulder hard and she screamed. Ah, increase it, it's not enough at all. Chen Zhao was charging the eye of the thunder. Sure enough, affected by the pain, Melinda once again increased the output of magic power. By now, Fiona was completely dumbfounded. Her brain was a mess and disbelief was written all over her face. What was wrong with her? Or was there something wrong with the world? Ava looked at Chen Zhao and said to her subordinates, go save Melinda. Irene, give Michelle a multiplication spell. Michelle roared, the veins on her body bulging. She was the same type as Gaia. She was tall and strong. Irene endured the pain and gave Michelle a multiplication spell. Michelle's body suddenly grew bigger. Everyone's eyeballs almost fell out. Although Irene's multiplication spell wasn't as crazy as pebbles or bullets, it was still enough to shock everyone. Michelle had turned into a 10-meter-tall giant. At the moment, Michelle had turned into a 10-meter-tall giant. With every step he took, the ground shook. Chen Zhao grinned and raised his right arm. A bolt of lightning shot out from the mouth of Gluttony. Poof! The bolt of lightning pierced through Michelle's chest and blasted a bloody hole in it. Michelle's huge body fell to the ground and didn't move anymore. Ava's pupils suddenly constricted. What powerful power! He was indeed a lightning element wizard. He'd captured Melinda to absorb her electricity. Luckily, Michelle had tested him. If she'd been hit by him without knowing, she would have been injured too. He and Melinda were both lightning element wizards, but his lightning element spell was clearly much stronger than Melinda's. After all, Michelle was also a strengthening element wizard. With Irene's multiplication spell, his strength had increased by more than 10 times. Even Ava might not be able to kill Michelle instantly. But this man could do it in one move. It was enough to show how terrifying he was. However, now that he knew about his magic, he was no longer a threat to him. As long as she was careful, he wouldn't be able to defeat her. A smile appeared on Ava's face again. Irene sneaked a glance at Ava. Actually, when Aiwa gave her the order to cast the multiplying magic on Michelle, she knew that Aiwa wanted Michelle to die. This was because multiplication magic couldn't be used on humans. No living creature could. Creatures that used multiplication magic would immediately collapse after the magic's effect ended. Ah! Melinda screamed again. Chen Zhao crushed another of her bones. Who told you to stop? Continue. Everyone in the association knew that Chen Zhao had a bad habit. Battlefield disruptor. Whether he was facing a strong enemy or not, Chen Zhao would always have that indifferent attitude. Also, he would always harass them without distinguishing between friend and foe. In any case, he could do as he pleased and do as he pleased. Fortunately, the association was used to it. Ava glanced at the people beside her. Michelle was dead and Melinda had been captured. Only Adam and Irene were left. Irene was injured again. In addition to the battle just now, she'd lost 70% of her magic. She couldn't continue fighting anymore. Uncle, should we help? Alger asked in a low voice. Help who? Chan and Layton asked. Of course. Alger suddenly realized that they were both enemies. We're not in a hurry. When they're both injured, we'll attack. Then, May's secret weapon will definitely be able to win. It's specially prepared for the Black Witches. Charming Laydon held a glass bottle in his hand. Specks of light rippled inside. These specks of light collided, fused, and split in the glass bottle. Chapter 1088. The hunters all had the mentality of watching a good show. But no one could have imagined that an unforeseen event would occur. Blood suddenly bloomed from the back of Charming Layton's head. His body fell heavily to the ground. Then, Domingo grabbed the glass bottle and ran in Ava's direction. Master, this is for you. Domingo held the glass bottle with both hands and handed it to Ava respectfully. Shock was written all over everyone's faces. Domingo was a traitor. Uncle. Alger picked up Charming Layton's body and roared in grief and indignation, Domingo. Even Ava and Adam beside Ava didn't expect Domingo to be on their side. Good boy. Ava took the glass bottle, her face full of pride. FIOS already knew that Domingo wasn't a good person. But she didn't expect Domingo to do something so shameless. Ava held the glass bottle. It's so beautiful. I didn't expect Layton to care so much about me. He even took out Satan's blood. It must have been hard on him. Ava looked at Domingo, who lowered his head in fear and trepidation to show his respect to Ava. Domingo, you shouldn't have killed Layton so quickly. After all, he's the father of one of my children. The reason why Charming Layton hated Aiwa so much was because they had a past. Of course, Charming Layton didn't know Ava's identity at all at that time. Ava had disappeared after giving birth to their child, and when she reappeared, she snatched their child away. Not long after, Charming Layton received something. His child's corpse. He couldn't imagine what kind of woman she was. Even a vicious tiger wouldn't eat its cubs. This idiom definitely didn't apply to her. Chen Zhao heard Ava murmur to herself. He couldn't help but look at the glass bottle in Ava's hand. The glass bottle looked more like bound starlight. It didn't look like liquid at all. This thing was called Satan's blood. Chen Zhao took out another phone and called the handsome guy. Hey, handsome, is it convenient for you to video call now? Yes. Do you recognize what that woman's holding? Ha! That's my blood. Is it really your blood? Chen Zhao was surprised. Chen Zhao had thought that it was something really awesome, so he named it Satan's blood. But now, the little handsome boy had admitted that it was his blood. Chen Zhao found it hard to believe. Why is your blood in the human world? No. I should say, who can make you bleed? That is the blood I personally bestowed in the ancient era. What's the use? The thing in the bottle in her hand should be able to destroy all life in the 10 mountains, the handsome young man said. Everything can't survive. How do I block it? I can't, the handsome young man replied calmly. Am I unable to block it now? The power in the bottle is calculated in terms of range. Unless you have the strength of a demon king, there is no possibility of resisting it. The killing range will be as large as it can cause. In other words, I'm dead meat. No, I can help you. How are you going to help me? Your power can't seep into the human world, right? As the demon king, the handsome young man's strength was undeniable. Even Samuel could project a tiny clone. But the handsome young man couldn't even send a sliver of his power into the human world. My power can't seep into the human world, but that bottle contains my blood. I can control it. That scared me. Chen Zhao patted his chest. But if your power can't seep into the human world, why can your blood appear here? That's a different concept. All rules have loopholes. If I'm willing to waste my blood, I can also pollute the entire human world, but it's meaningless to me, the handsome young man said. Even if the blood in the bottle is only a millionth of my blood, it can still cause a disaster in the human world. Chen Zhao was speechless. A millionth of his blood could cause a disaster. He was already powerful enough in the human world. But before this power, he seemed so insignificant. Then I can jump again. Remember the spell I taught you? Are you talking about that amazing spell? Yes, the handsome young man said. The handsome boy said, if that woman releases my blood, then you can activate that magic. I will also help you control it. You won't be hurt. Understood. Right now, everyone was rather dissatisfied with Chen Zhao. Because of this tense situation, Chen Zhao was actually making a call here, and a video call at that. As for the people from the association, they were already used to it. It wasn't Chen Zhao's first time making a call in such a tense atmosphere. Ava felt like her reputation had been damaged. Mr. Chen, do you want to know if this thing in my hand can kill you? Come quickly. I know this thing is called Satan's blood. I know this thing can destroy everything on this island if I throw it out, but unfortunately, it's useless against me. After Chen Zhao found out that he wouldn't die, he showed an arrogant attitude, not afraid of AI at all. Ava narrowed her eyes at Chen Zhao. Ha! Since you know this is called Satan's blood, how dare you bluff in front of me? Whoever's a coward is a coward. Once Satan's blood was released, no living creature could escape the fate of annihilation. Even the holder couldn't avoid it. Anyway, it was just a nuclear bomb thrown at close range. No matter who got it, it would be a move that would kill them all. So, to use Satan's blood, one had to have the courage to use it first. Seeing Chen Zhao so crazy, Ava was completely speechless. She felt that Chen Zhao knew that she wouldn't dare to use it. That was why his attitude was so arrogant. Even if you don't use it, you won't be able to escape death, Ava said calmly. Suddenly, a grenade exploded under Ava's feet. However, Ava stood there unscathed. The flames from the explosion were blocked by the fog around her body. Which? Your opponent is me. Alger roared. Shoot, shoot. Charming Layden's death had made Alger completely lose his mind. Zoran and Emily had no choice but to participate in the battle because they were already in the same boat as Alger. Everyone was pouring all their ammunition towards Ava and the others. You're asking for death. Ava snorted and a mist surged toward them. Death mist. Helitha's expression changed slightly. Chapter 1089. Recently, because of his schedule had been reversed. He tried to correct his schedule, but it ended in failure. Every day, he didn't have enough sleep, and his mind was groggy. Seeing that the double monthly votes for this month was getting further and further away from him, he felt anxious. Chapter 1090. Ava's fog of death was even larger than Helios's. The fog of death swept past Alger and the others, instantly enveloping them in the fog. Then, they heard the panicked cries of the figures in the fog, as well as cries for help. A ball of flame exploded in the fog. Alger fell out and scrambled out of the fog. His body was severely burned. In order to avoid the erosion of the fog of death, he directly used a grenade to explode at close range. He used the explosive impact of the grenade to blast away the fog of death, thus saving his life. Alger had always heard how terrifying the Black Witch was. However, he never believed that a woman could fight against an elite team. Only now did he realize that the Black Witch was more terrifying than he had imagined. None of the familiar faces walked out of the fog of death. When the fog of death dissipated, 10 corpses were left. Their faces were still filled with panic, fear, and despair. Alger lay on the ground, tears streaming down his face. Dead, they're all dead. Alger propped himself up with difficulty and looked at Ava and Domingo. His eyes were filled with hatred. Your eyes are the same as your uncle's. Ava smiled at Alger. She seemed to be enjoying the pleasure brought by this gaze. Suddenly, 2 black shadows shrouded Ava. Helios launched a sneak attack. The 2 corpse demons attacked Aiwa. Ava's face showed a hint of mockery. A black shadow also appeared behind her, taller than Helios's 2 corpse demons. It was taller than the 2 corpse demons combined, and Ava's corpse demon's skin was covered with a layer of metal. Ava's corpse demon grabbed the necks of Helios's 2 corpse demons with both hands, and won by absolute advantage despite fighting 1 against 2. Helios's 2 corpse demons kept waving their fists, attacking Ava from beginning to end. But their fists were no threat to Ava's corpse demons. Ava said lightly, "This is the guardian of the family, Helios. You are more outstanding than I imagined." Another 10 corpse demons appeared behind Ava. These 10 corpse demons were the same as Ava's 2 guardians. Helios's expression changed again. She could only summon 2 corpse demons, but her mother could summon 11. And one of them was stronger than the 2 of them. Now, do you understand the gap between us? Fios looked at the scene nervously. She didn't even know who was the good guy and who was the bad guy. The 10 guardian corpses summoned by Aiwa attacked them. Rissa raised her arms. Heat blasts. The 2 demonic corpses were sent flying by the impact. Fiona's eyes almost popped out. It turned out that Lisa was so powerful. West pointed between his eyebrows. Slow. The movements of the 8 guardian corpse demons in front of him suddenly became slow, just like in a movie in slow motion. Klaus and the others made their move. Guns and cannons rained down on the guardian corpse demon's body. Klaus rushed to the side of the guardian corpse demon, climbed up, threw a grenade into the mouth of a guardian corpse demon, and flipped down. The whole process was so smooth that Fiona was dumbfounded. It was like watching the main character in an action movie. Aiwa saw that Heli's companions were quite strong. He immediately recalled the Guardian Corpse Demon. Repairing these Guardian Corpse Demons was not easy. He needed a lot of magic materials. You guys are not bad. If you surrender now and serve me, you can keep your lives. Then you better ask our boss, Klaus said flippantly with a gun on his shoulder. Chen Zhao had a great influence on him. In the past, Klaus never joked on the battlefield. But now, Klaus would always find the time to tease his enemies in the most tense moments. Aiwa looked at Chen Zhao. You. I agree to give you this chance. Serve me. Last time, someone also asked me to serve you, Chen Zhao said. I said I could consider it, but he rejected my conditions. As long as you're willing to serve me, I can accept any condition. For example, give me a striptease. Aiwa's expression darkened. No wonder he rejected it. You'll die. Aiwa's voice was filled with coldness and murderous intent. The first corpse demon Aiwa summoned charged at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao raised his right arm again. Bang! This attack was even stronger than before. Half of the corpse demon's body was gone. Aiwa narrowed her eyes. This guy was indeed difficult to deal with. No wonder they were so loyal to him. Just then, the sky gradually darkened. Aiwa's magic was stronger too. Necromancy magic was more powerful after dark, to begin with. Aiwa clawed at Chen Zhao from dozens of meters away. A huge bone prison appeared beside Chen Zhao. Bang! In the blink of an eye, Chen Zhao shattered the bone prison. Let's be serious so we can finish early and eat supper, Chen Zhao said. Show me your ultimate move. Do you want to see the magic I'm most proud of? Then I'll fulfill your wish. Ava raised her arms. The magic in her body was being released. Suddenly, Fios felt her heart palpitate. It was as if something disturbing was about to happen. Just then, a dozen wobbly skeletons walked out of the grass beside the altar. The eyes of these skeleton soldiers shone with green light as they staggered forward. Ah! Are you kidding me? This is the magic you're proud of? Chen Zhao said, rolling his eyes. But just then, more skeletons climbed out of the lake. The number of skeleton soldiers kept increasing, and they were appearing from all directions. All the dead on the island seemed to have been awakened by Aiwa. No one is my match on this island, Aiwa said confidently. Especially since this is the center of the island. I can easily summon tens of thousands of skeletons. Chen Zhao looked at the surrounding forest and saw even more green eyes in the forest. There were also many green dots of light in the lake. They were climbing ashore. Chen Zhao shot out an electric ball from his right arm. It landed among the skeletons by the lake. Dozens of skeleton soldiers were destroyed, but more and more skeleton soldiers came ashore. I'll ask you one last time. Submit or die. Let's do a striptease. Kill. Crack, 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 countless skeletons surged toward the altar from all directions. There were too many skeletons. Chen Zhao didn't hold back at all. He would kill as many as came from his direction. Every time he fired it, it brought him great pleasure. But after a dozen shots, Chen Zhao realized that they were a bit muted. Chapter 1091. Chen Zhao looked around. She's gone. Looking back, he saw a few skeleton soldiers dragging Megan away while Chen Zhao was distracted. Seeing that Megan had returned to her side, Ava turned to Chen Zhao. What are you going to do now? Ava had the attitude of a victor. She guessed that Chen Zhao had interfered in the battle between Megan and Helios because he'd realized that Megan could recharge him. Now that Megan was back in his hands, he'd be a lamb waiting to be slaughtered after Chen Zhao ran out of electricity. Klaus, I'll leave the battlefield to you guys, Chen Zhao said. President's going to slack off again. Jolik and Padalu were part of the logistics team. Their combat abilities were average. Their spells were all related to the assembly of machinery. Chen Zhao had brought them along because they were responsible for the Conqueror's maintenance and stability. West was part of the think tank. He also had good support abilities. The field of sluggishness, which was derived from his thinking spell, could slow down the enemy when they were within range of movement. Facing the skeleton army, the main forces were still the lightning team, Helios, Pain, and Eric. In particular, Pain and Eric were the most positive. A single skeleton soldier wasn't a threat to them. But now, they were facing a sea of skeleton soldiers. Even if they had enough guns and ammunition, they'd die of exhaustion. Who knew how many people were buried on this island? It was a huge graveyard. FIOS was already trembling in fear. She should be the most useless one out of everyone. Of course, it wasn't correct to say that she was completely useless. Her battle record was 1 skeleton soldier. Thankfully, she was surrounded by the pirates. She had a pistol in her hand. Lisa wasn't strong either. She'd used up most of her heat energy against the 2 Guardian Corpse demons. The sky was dark again and the temperature was much lower. The amount of heat she could absorb was very limited. Moreover, if she absorbed heat energy without any worries, the first to suffer wouldn't be the enemies, but her companions. As a result, her usefulness on the battlefield was very limited. Ava looked at the battlefield and then at Chen Zhao, who wasn't involved. Ellen, how's your mana recovery? I've recovered 30% of my mana, Ellen said. I summoned a Guardian Corpse demon and said to Ellen, give it multiplying magic. Master, I'm afraid I can only use multiplication on such a large body once. Once is enough, Ava said indifferently. That was the only value Ellen had left. Irene could only cast amplification on the Guardian Ghoul. The Guardian Corpse demon, who was originally 5 meters tall, transformed into a 15-meter giant after using the multiplication spell, which was even bigger than Michelle. After using magic, Ellen's body became even weaker. Under Ava's control, the corpse demon charged toward Chen Zhao. Everyone held their breath and looked at the giant in disbelief. But before the giant could reach Chen Zhao, he suddenly tripped and fell in front of Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao lifted the bronze sword and cut off the giant's head. The people from the association looked as if they had known this would happen. Ava's expression was completely frozen. She had actually used this to test Chen Zhao. She didn't know if what Chen Zhao said about running out of electricity was true or not. Thus, she didn't dare to attack Chen Zhao first. That was why she used Guardian Corpse Demon and Multiplication spell to test him. To her, if Chen Zhao really ran out of electricity, he would definitely be killed. If he didn't, then he would have to use the last bit of electricity to kill him. But the result made her jaw drop. The Guardian Corpse Demon actually tripped, which was something that had never happened before. In the end, Chen Zhao even cut off the Corpse Demon's head. You're just here to die, right? Chen Zhao sneered. Aiwa's face was green. She summoned the remaining corpse demons again. Kill him. Chen Zhao turned and ran. Guardian Corpse Demon chased after him. Chen Zhao ran into the small forest. Naturally, the Corpse Demon followed him. But in less than 30 seconds, Chen Zhao walked out. But those corpse demons didn't come out again. Aiwa's pupils suddenly contracted. What happened? How did he destroy those corpse demons? Aiwa's heart ached when her corpse demons were all destroyed. But now wasn't the time to feel heartache. I want you to die. Can you do it? On the other side, the people from the association were in a tough battle. The lightning squad's ammunition was starting to run out. The others had used up more than half of their mana too. No, we can't continue like this. Move toward the president. Everyone started moving toward Qin Zhao consciously. President, we can't hold on anymore. I can still fight, Helios said. She had the most mana right now. After all, she'd absorbed the mana of 12 siblings. Fios looked at Qin Zhao. She realized that the Asian who'd seemed the weakest was now like their spiritual pillar. But could he really turn the situation around? Facing such a hellish situation, did he really have a solution? Help me kill the Black Witch and Domingo. I'll pay $50 million. Alger had been fighting alone. Right now, he was filled with determination to die. But his power alone was really insignificant. He was worried that Qin Zhao and the others would choose to retreat, so he threw out the bait. At the very least, compared to him alone, Qin Zhao and the others had a higher chance of defeating the Black Witch. I'm not your mercenary. I don't accept your offer. President, we'll probably have to earn some extra money this time, West said, troubled. West said awkwardly, this time, the ship we rented sank. We have to compensate the chartering company at least $30 million. Also, that armed helicopter is legal military equipment. It costs $12 million. So, we lost more than $40 million. Qin Zhao asked in shock, his eyes wide. West nodded, troubled. This doesn't include our labor costs. Qin Zhao turned to Alger. How do you plan to pay? Do you have the money? My uncle is dead. I'm the only heir to the family business now. Alger wasn't happy about this. He kept blaming himself for trusting the wrong person. A friend he knew had killed his uncle. Because Charnington didn't have any children, he'd always raised and taken care of Alger like his own. Chapter 1092. Do you want him alive? That traitor, Qin Zhao asked. You can capture him alive. Alger asked in surprise. That's a bit more expensive. The people from the association all looked away. Qin Zhao was raising the price again. Sure, any price is fine. Don't be so vague. Name a price. If it's suitable, I'll capture him alive for you. Add 20 million, Alger said. Then Qin Zhao said to West, this 20 million is my personal income, not the association's. Okay, President. Qin Zhao started stretching his limbs and looked at Ava and Domingo. Domingo immediately tensed up. At the same time, he took a step behind Ava. Ava waved her hand, and hundreds of skeleton soldiers gathered in front of them. Did you ask me if you want to capture my people? Then do you agree if I want to capture your people? No. Qin Zhao suddenly burst out with full speed. All the skeleton soldiers in a straight line were instantly scattered. There were hundreds of skeleton soldiers in front of Ava, but there were only 20 to 30 in a straight line. Qin Zhao burst out with full speed. Almost no creature could react. Ava's nerves tensed up. Before she could react, Qin Zhao was already before her. He's not a lightning mage. Qin Zhao slapped Ava away and grabbed Domingo with his other hand. In the blink of an eye, Qin Zhao returned to the crowd. Fios stared at Qin Zhao in disbelief. What happened just now? Alger was also dumbfounded. Shock and disbelief were written all over his face. Then he looked at Domingo in Qin Zhao's hand. Domingo wasn't dead. But without any protection, he had to endure the high-speed air pressure. He felt like his entire body was falling apart. He couldn't even stand up. He's yours now. Chen Zhao tossed Domingo before Alger. Ava covered her face and stood up. She was also shocked. What's wrong with this man? What's with that monstrous speed? President, I want him alive too. I want to kill that woman with my own hands, Helios said. No problem. Chen Zhao was always generous with his subordinates' requests. Ava immediately gathered all the skeleton soldiers together. He had seen Chen Zhao's speed. She really had no confidence in dealing with that kind of speed. The only thing he could do now was to increase the density of the space around him and slow him down. The entire altar was already filled with densely packed skeletons, surrounding Ai, Hua and the rest. Turn around. 3 seconds, Chen Zhao ordered. He really didn't want his clone to be naked in front of his subordinates. This was truly damaging to the president's reputation and prestige. Rissa pulled a Fios, who was still in a daze. Do you want to die? Fios quickly turned around. 3, 2, 1. Done. When Fios turned around again, she saw that there were 12 clones around Chen Zhao. Every doppelganger was wearing tight clothes. Kill. The 12 clones moved in unison. The 12 clones were 12 unstoppable monsters. They killed their way into the group of skeletons as if they were crushing dry weeds and rotten wood. Although the number of skeleton soldiers was astonishing, if they were piled up together, they would lose their advantage in numbers. After all, they couldn't even move the skeleton soldiers on the inside. Moreover, their bones would collide with each other or entangle with each other. The killing efficiency of the 12 clones was simply too high. Ai's expression was solemn. If this continued, all the skeleton soldiers she summoned would be killed. She had to stop the clones from sweeping through. Ai directly released the death mist. Seeing the death mist cover over, Chen Zhao raised his right arm. The mouth of gluttony, open. More than half of the death mist was devoured by the mouth of gluttony. Black Alice, the rest is yours. Assimilate as many as you can. Yes, President. Alger looked at Chen Zhao. So this man was the real boss. Someone as strong as Ai Hua was a centuries-old legend. Before this man, she actually couldn't resist at all. Adam's face was also filled with shock. This was the first time. It was the first time he saw his mother being restrained by another person. Ai Hua was also a bit panicked now. Because she realized that she couldn't understand what magic element Chen Zhao had at all. But she didn't completely admit defeat. Go die. Ai Hua finally took out her trump card. Above the altar, 10 ghost ships appeared. On the ghost ships, countless evil spirits were roaring, letting out sharp and terrifying howls. In total, there were about 4,000 to 5,000 evil spirits on the 10 ghost ships. Seeing this scene, everyone's expression changed. Even Adam and Ellen felt that Ai Hua was invincible. Although Chen Zhao had displayed great power earlier. But facing Ai Hua's true killing move, it still seemed insignificant. Seeing these ghost ships, Fiona immediately thought of the attack they'd encountered on the sea. Do you really think you can beat me? Ai Hua looked at Chen Zhao. You're too naive. What happened earlier was just an appetizer. The war has just begun. Chen Zhao silently took out a perfect angelic crystal. With a smile, he said, coincidentally, I'm also warming up. Stubborn. I hope you can still say this to me so easily later. I'll just stand still. If your ghost ships can make me move one step, then I lose. Chen Zhao crossed his arms. Mr. Chen, these ghost ships are very scary. Don't be careless. Alger felt that Chen Zhao was too arrogant. He'd seen how scary the ghost ships were with his own eyes. He felt that even Chen Zhao had to face them seriously. He shouldn't be arrogant and face them with such an arrogant and contemptuous attitude. It's none of your business. Why do you care so much? West glanced at Alger. Alger immediately shut up. He couldn't help but curse inwardly. My good intentions aren't rewarded. Let's see how your boss dies later. However, Alger clearly didn't understand the inner thoughts of the people of the association. If Aiwa had summoned 10 warships, she might have been able to defeat Qin Zhao. However, she had summoned 10 specter ships. She definitely didn't know that Qin Zhao's strongest ability was to restrain spirit bodies. In the past, when Qin Zhao faced spirit enemies, he'd often let Blackie fight. But this didn't mean that Qin Zhao couldn't deal with spirit bodies. Plus, to Qin Zhao, the most effective way to deal with spirit bodies didn't even need to fight. He could use angelic crystals directly. Normal spirit bodies would be turned to ashes by the light emitted by angelic crystals. As for perfect angelic crystals, they were obtained from monster-level enemies. Perfect angelic crystals were like nuclear reactors. They didn't need to receive light. Chapter 1093. At Ava's command, the 10 ghost ships rammed into Qin Zhao. The association members all stood behind Qin Zhao, even though they were very confident in Qin Zhao. Although they were very confident in Qin Zhao, their hearts were still pounding when they faced the 10 ghost ships. If Qin Zhao couldn't stop them, they would probably die too. But just then, the first ghost ship that approached Qin Zhao showed signs of disappearing without any warning. First, the bow disappeared. As the ship continued forward, the body disappeared too. The evil spirit crew on the ghost ship also disappeared. They didn't even have a chance to resist. They turned into ashes under everyone's gaze. Qin Zhao, on the other hand, had been standing there with his arms crossed. He didn't move at all. He didn't even move his feet. The entire ghost ship turned into ashes just like that. Disbelief was written all over everyone's faces. No one knew how Qin Zhao had done it. The entire process was so unimaginable. The second ghost ship arrived as scheduled, but the result was the same. It disappeared when it was less than 5 meters away from Qin Zhao. The people of the association knew that Qin Zhao was very good at dealing with spirits. But this unbelievable method still made their eyeballs fall out. Alger kept staring at Qin Zhao in shock. He wanted to see how Qin Zhao had done it. Perhaps Qin Zhao had used some unknown spell. But after staring for a long time, he still didn't understand. Because Qin Zhao really hadn't moved at all. The third ghost ship, the fourth, the fifth, these ghost ships charged at Qin Zhao one after another, but without exception, they all disappeared when they were 5 meters away from Qin Zhao. Ava finally stopped the ghost ship's suicidal attacks. Compared to the others, Ava was even more shocked. Because she'd used this spell, she knew better than anyone how powerful the ghost ships were. But Qin Zhao had destroyed 5 ghost ships without any effort. From the beginning to the end, she didn't understand how Qin Zhao had done it. Ava's expression grew more and more serious. The Asian in front of her was the most threatening of all the enemies she had ever encountered. Why did you stop? Continue. I'm still hoping for a ghost ship to appear in front of me. Everyone rolled their eyes. Did he think that the Black Witches were stupid? If she still couldn't understand at this point, then she was really stupid. If he sent the ghost ship to attack Qin Zhao, wouldn't that be suicidal? Right at this moment, Ai's heart trembled, and she suddenly raised her head to look at the sky. Adam and Helith had the same reaction. They seemed to have sensed something. Qin Zhao heard Horrid whisper, "It's coming." "What's here?" Qin Zhao asked, confused. "The red star, Beto's comet is coming." Qin Zhao also looked up at the sky. At this time, what appeared in the night sky was not a sky full of stars, but endless darkness. And at the edge of the darkness, there seemed to be a red light shrouding it. The red light was spreading across the entire sky. At this moment, everyone felt the ground shake. It was as if something was about to break out of the ground. In the center of the altar was a circular hole. Something red was seeping out of the hole. Blood. Blood. Fresh blood flowed along the patterns on the ground of the altar, spreading in all directions. The Agama bridge is about to appear. Aiwa said excitedly, excitement written all over her face. She seemed to have forgotten about the current situation and her great enemy, Qin Zhao. The red star finally streaked across the sky. However, this red star did not flash past like a meteor. Instead, it dragged a slender red tail and moved slowly. Blood was still seeping out from the center of the altar. It had already spread to half of the altar. Now, both sides had tacitly stopped fighting. They seemed to be waiting for the so-called Agama bridge. Helith, walk to the center of the altar, Chen Zhao said. Helith nodded and walked to the center of the altar. Seeing Helith come over, Aiwa immediately shouted, "Stop! This is mine. No one can touch it." It was obvious that Aiwa was very nervous. "I don't care what comes out later. It's Helith's anyway." Chen Zhao looked at Aiwa. "Do you want a way to live forever? I can give you a way to live forever." Aiwa threw out a bait. She had once used this condition to attract many people to submit to her. Humans could not resist this tempting condition. Everyone looked at Qin Zhao, even Helith. Even she felt tempted. Let alone Qin Zhao. Thus, Helith could not guarantee that Qin Zhao would be tempted and help Aiwa. Qin Zhao shrugged. "Sorry, I'm not interested. I think your so-called way to live forever must have a lot of restrictions. Then, you'll make yourself neither human nor ghost." Hearing Qin Zhao's reply, Aiwa was furious. Helith, on the other hand, heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, she looked at Qin Zhao with even more admiration. Just then, the red giant finally reached the sky above the altar. Helith, Aiwa, and Adam all felt the blood in their bodies send a voice to them. Helith seemed to have suddenly understood. She took out Nasamara's awl and stabbed it into her palm. She let her blood drip onto the altar. Aiwa and Adam's expressions darkened when they saw Nasamara's awl in Helith's hand. Why was this thing in Helith's hands? Suddenly, Nasamara's awl left Helith's control and flew toward the center of the altar. A beam of red light shot down from the sky and landed at the center of the altar. At the same time, it enveloped Nasamara's awl. After receiving the red light from Comet Betos, Nasamara's awl became completely transparent. Then, the red light refracted through Nasamara's awl and turned into a colorful beam that shot into the hole in the center of the altar. A blood-colored key slowly appeared from the hole in the center of the altar. Qin Zhao raised an eyebrow. "It's a key. Did the Sansiko family want to make a key? It's mine." Aiwa yelled and charged toward the blood-colored key. Helith also charged toward the blood-colored key at the same time. But just then, the blood-colored key suddenly exploded. The moment the blood-red key exploded, a shockwave spread in all directions. Everyone was pushed away from the center of the altar. Thankfully, the destructive power of the shockwave was not too great. Helith was not hurt. On the contrary, Helith seemed to be in high spirits. Helith looked at her hands in disbelief. "President, my magic power seems to have become stronger." Chapter 1094. Helith's magic had become stronger, but so had Ava. Plus, her increase was much greater than Helith's. Lord of the Deep, Morabit, Constant, Sella, listen to my call and descend upon the world with your majestic figures, Ava called out loudly. 3 black holes with a diameter of 20 meters appeared in front of Ava. First, an arm reached out from the middle black hole. Chen Zhao was very familiar with the arm. Then, the same arm appeared from the left and right black holes. 3 abyss demons climbed out of the 3 black holes. Human, it's you. When the demon in the middle saw Chen Zhao, his face was filled with ecstasy. Did you not expect us to meet again so soon? And this time, I appear before you in my complete form. President, do you know him? Not really, Chen Zhao said. Someone summoned him in the past, but in an incomplete form. Then I humiliated him and he ran back to hell with his tail between his legs. Before he left, he even left a flag. FIOS stared at Chen Zhao. Just how daring did this guy have to be? He dared to provoke everything. Everyone's heart was pounding. The aura emanating from these 3 abyssal demons caused them to feel a deep chill. Are you too scared to move now? The demon in the middle looked down at Chen Zhao. Remember my name, Morabit, because your soul will be imprisoned and tortured by me forever. Lord Morabit, time is limited. Please kill him as soon as possible. Ava's tone was filled with sincerity and humility. She didn't have the arrogance she had when facing others. However, the current AI Wa was no longer the same. She didn't understand what was going on either. Her magic power had increased by several times. In the past, she could barely summon 1 demon. But now, she was able to easily summon 3 abyssal demons. But there was still a time limit. She needed to continuously provide magic to maintain the 3 demons in the human world. As long as her magic power was exhausted, the 3 abyssal demons would return to hell. Morbid, right? Chen Zhao walked toward the 3 demons calmly. I think if you have the chance, you definitely don't want to meet me again. Everyone in the association stared at his back nervously. After all, compared to the 3 demons, Chen Zhao was too insignificant. They couldn't be sure if Chen Zhao could defeat the demon. Chen Zhao suddenly stopped in his tracks. The dark serum spread around Chen Zhao's feet. Under Chen Zhao's control, it activated its meat grinder mode. Chen Zhao had fought many demons from the abyss. Chen Zhao clearly remembered all the abilities of the demons from the abyss, including their power, their magic, and even their mana. Countless black blades swept towards Morabit. Before Morabit could react, his feet were shredded by countless dark blades. The meat grinder mode was called the meat grinder, just like the name Chen Zhao had given it. As long as one fell into the blade of the dark serum, they would definitely be ground to pieces. Ah! Morabit let out a blood-curdling scream. As his legs were crushed, his body fell to the ground. The moment he fell to the ground, his entire body came into contact with the dark serum. In an instant, his entire body was torn to pieces. Pieces of flesh flew everywhere. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this scene. They stared at Chen Zhao in shock. Even the other 2 demons, Consta and Sella, were shocked by Morabit's tragic ending. Ava couldn't believe this result either. She thought that even if she only summoned 1 demon, it would be enough to kill Chen Zhao. The reason why she had summoned the 3 abyssal demons was to show off her powerful strength. But the result was far beyond her expectations. Chen Zhao killed an abyss demon almost instantly. Consta suddenly launched a sneak attack on Chen Zhao. His eyes glowed with green flames. It hit Chen Zhao and he was blown away. Great! AI Watt cried out in surprise. The association stared at Chen Zhao worriedly. However, Chen Zhao stood up again as if nothing had happened. The association also heaved a long sigh of relief. Chen Zhao suddenly sped up. He was so fast that the naked eye couldn't catch him. Chen Zhao leaped up and charged at Consta. The mouth of gluttony and eye of power opened at the same time. Chen Zhao's right arm turned into a foundation hammer and he punched. Consta turned into a headless corpse and fell to the ground. Everyone was scared silly, including the remaining abyssal evil demon, Sella. Why did this happen? Why did I encounter such a monster? Aiwa thought. Sella thought the same. Do you know that you three aren't the only demons I've met? Chen Zhao grinned. Let me count how many demons I've killed. I think there are more than 10. Hurry up and send me back to hell, Sella cried in terror. I don't want to face this guy. Hurry, everyone stared at Chen Zhao in disbelief, as well as Sella, who was scared out of her wits. A man who could scare a terrifying demon into peeing his pants. It was Fios's first time seeing a supernatural battle. Her heart was also filled with shock. I've never let go of any abyss demon that appears before me. Chen Zhao took out his zither and 12 stone swords. Just then, Hara said, President, can I leave the corpse intact? Chen Zhao thought about it and nodded. Sure. Then Chen Zhao put away the zither and 12 stone swords. Glancing at Sella, the dark serum suddenly pounced at her. Sella struggled, trying to break free from the dark serum. But all his struggles and efforts were in vain. The more he struggled, the faster he fell. In the end, his huge body completely sank into the dark serum. Ava, Adam, and Ellen's limbs were all cold. They looked at Chen Zhao with fear and despair. The man before them was indescribably terrifying. Even an expert as strong as Aiwa seemed so helpless when facing this man. Miss Ava, do you have any other trump cards? If not, we can settle the score. No, it should be between you and Horace. Ava picked up Satan's blood. Don't come over. If you come over, I'll release Satan's blood. Chen Zhao ignored Aiwa and continued to walk toward her. Chapter 1095. Whoever's a coward. Chen Zhao sneered with an indifferent expression. Come, don't say that I didn't give you a chance. If I wanted to steal it, would Satan's blood still be in your hands? So I don't care if you let it go or not. Actually, I hope you do. President, stop joking, Alice shouted. You can take it, but we can't. Alice, what's the use of Satan's blood? Within 10 miles, everything will be destroyed. Any living being. Alice said. There's no chance of survival. The people of the association were shocked and looked at Chen Zhao worriedly. Ava seemed to have caught Chen Zhao's weakness. You can be afraid, but what about your subordinates? They don't have your abilities. I'm sorry to disappoint you again. I have the ability to protect them. What exactly do you want to let me go? Ava's eyes were filled with anger and conflict. What she was looking for now was nothing more than a chance of survival. But Chen Zhao's attitude was firm. He didn't want to negotiate with her at all. Your life and death will be decided by our Helith. Daughter. Do you really have to force me to death? Ava looked at Helis with a pained expression. Harris looked at Aiwa coldly, put away your disgusting honor. I've said it before, my greatest wish is to kill you. If you want me to die, then we'll die together. Aiwa saw that both Chen Zhao and Helith were determined. They wouldn't stop until they forced her to death. Then they'd die together. Since she had no way out, why should she leave a way out for others? Ava opened the bottle. Instantly, the light spots in the bottle gushed out. Ava didn't even have the chance to scream. Her body instantly turned into ashes. Adam and Ellen couldn't escape their doom either. Touched by a light spot, their bodies were also instantly destroyed. Originally, there were only 1 or 2 light spots in the bottle, but after leaving the bottle, the number of light spots increased rapidly and spread in all directions. Be it the ground, plants, or corpses, as long as they were touched by the light spots, they would be instantly destroyed. When they reached Chen Zhao's feet, Chen Zhao used a dazzling spell. Instantly, hundreds of magic arrays appeared behind him. This was the second time the people from the Union had seen this spell. He realized that the light spots were being absorbed by his spell. However, he soon realized that his magic array couldn't absorb any more. However, at that moment, the light began to shrink and converge into a single light dot. Finally, the speck of light disappeared into the darkness. Alger stared at him in shock. The blood of Satan had been passed down in his family for generations. According to the family's internal records, the blood of Satan was just as Aiwa had said. No one could resist it and annihilate all life. However, Chen Zhao had blocked Satan's blood. Previously, Alger had thought that Chen Zhao was bluffing. But after witnessing this scene, he was completely speechless. Chen Zhao turned his head and looked at Helios. "I'm sorry that your mother didn't make it to you alive." "It's fine, guild leader. I know this isn't your fault." Suddenly, Chen Zhao saw the transparent Noxamara Owl. Chen Zhao was surprised that Noxamara's Owl hadn't been destroyed. Chen Zhao walked up to pick up Noxamara's Owl. But the next moment, Noxamara's Owl shattered like glass. A white key landed in Chen Zhao's hand. Key. Another key. Holding the key, Chen Zhao studied it carefully. Noxamara's Owl was originally a key, right? But this white key, but what about the red key from before? Chen Zhao put away the key. Looking around, half of the altar had been destroyed by Satan's blood. If Chen Zhao hadn't stopped it, most of the island would probably have been turned to ashes like the altar. Chen Zhao looked at Alger. "When can you pay me?" "I'll pay you as soon as possible." Alger didn't dare to go back on his word. Without a doubt, Chen Zhao was like a demon king. He could go back on anyone but Chen Zhao. "I also hope to be quick," Chen Zhao said. "I'll rest here for the night and go home tomorrow." In a situation where there were no disputes, this island was very good. It didn't matter whether it was the geography or the temperature. Of course, one had to ignore the countless skeletons buried on the island. At night, everyone sat in front of the fire. "Pan, roast this." Chen Zhao took out an octopus tentacle. "President, do you want to know about my family's plan?" Helios asked, walking to Chen Zhao's side. "You know. Just now, my bloodline inheritance was completely unlocked," Helios said. "Yes, tell me." "As for my family's plan, I'll have to talk about the Noxamara Copper Owl. I don't know the origin of the Noxamara Copper Owl, but it seems to have appeared along with the Noxamara civilization. As for the function of the Noxamara Copper Owl, I don't need to explain it to you. Not everyone can use the Noxamara Copper Owl, so it has always been kept by the 2 great aristocrats of Noxamara. However, due to the war, the population of the Sansiko family decreased drastically. Then, the patriarch took the lead and started this plan to imitate the Noxamara Copper Owl, a copper owl that is only suitable for the Sansiko family. Chen Zhao suddenly realized that the blood-red key was a replica. "So, what happened?" "Of course it failed," Harold said. "The red key that appeared just now is the so-called imitation." "Was it a replica?" Chen Zhao was a bit disappointed. But he didn't think too much about it. Including the white key he'd just obtained, he now had 5 keys. However, he only used 2 keys now. The first golden key could allow him to adapt to most environments. However, he had yet to figure out what effect the second key had on his body. Chen Zhao fell into deep thought. President, our ship is overturned. How do we go back now? West asked. My uncle's ship is still parked outside the island, Alger said. But it's an armed ship. It can't get close to the mainland. I can send it to Hawaii. That works too. Go to Hawaii and then take a plane back to LA, Chen Zhao nodded. I'm going to Hawaii too, Fios said. There were 5 of them this time. Only she and Alger were left. Fios didn't know what she was thinking. This journey had also allowed her to see another world. Chapter 1096. You definitely don't want to know, Chen Zhao interrupted from the side. He'd seen how Alger had dealt with Domingo. Chen Zhao didn't even want to hear about it. Oh, are there any treasures on the island? It's happening again. The president is going crazy again. Should we use this time to go and see if there's anything valuable on the island? Chen Zhao suggested. Thankfully, Horace said, yes, Nasamara's treasures, but to us in the modern world, they're not worth much. After everyone fell asleep, Chen Zhao climbed onto the hill and sat down. He was studying the white key. He'd studied the key in his hand countless times. He'd dripped blood to recognize it, send in magic, or use his spirit to leave his body. These were all basic operations. Occasionally, Chen Zhao would roast the key over a fire or soak it in water. He tried to activate the key. Unfortunately, it didn't work. The sun was rising. Holding the key, Chen Zhao aimed the keyhole at the sun. Through the keyhole, sunlight shone on Chen Zhao's eyes. Chen Zhao remembered last night, when Comet Betos had arrived. Nasamara's Copperall, the white key's predecessor, had reacted. Logically speaking, the white key should be effective against starlight. No, Comet Betos didn't glow and wasn't red. Comet Betos glowed red because after entering low Earth orbit, it rubbed against the thin air and produced the red light. At that time, Comet Betos should have been completely burning. But to confirm his guess, he had to wait another 159 years. He had to wait until Comet Betos arrived again. So, this idea wasn't reliable. Chen Zhao didn't have that long. He didn't have that much time. If he could simulate that red light, could he activate the white key? Just then, the people in the tents below started waking up one after another. President, we're leaving, the people below called out. Chen Zhao waved his hand and walked down the hill. President, you didn't sleep at all last night. Yes, Chen Zhao said. I was thinking about something. After boarding Alger's ship, the armed ship set off. Lisa, come here. President, what's up? Is there any way to deduce Comet Betos' composition with current science? Chen Zhao asked. Using the simplest method, I can roughly determine the composition of Comet Betos. Lisa said, Comet Betos burns due to friction with the air, producing a red light. Therefore, Comet Betos should have a large amount of calcium oxide, which produces a red light after burning. Therefore, after friction with the air in low Earth orbit, the calcium oxide produced a violent chemical reaction and broke down into oxygen and calcium, causing the red light. Calcium oxide. Is it quicklime? Is there quicklime in nature? Calcium oxide should be considered a synthetic material and was not flammable. Of course, it was not absolutely non-flammable. Under special circumstances, calcium oxide could decompose into oxygen and calcium. This is only based on the periodic table of elements on Earth. After all, Betos' comet doesn't belong to Earth, so no one knows if there are elements outside of Earth in Betos' comet. Therefore, it's also possible that it's caused by something that doesn't exist on Earth. When we get back, get some quicklime. What are you doing? Doing some research, Chen Zhao said. After leaving Nasamara, the armed ship entered the violent sea again. Chen Zhao started feeling seasick again. FIOS finally understood why she'd seen Chen Zhao get shot by her subordinates that day. Her subordinates hadn't betrayed him. Chen Zhao had asked for it himself. To help him sleep. FIOS had never seen anyone fall asleep like this. Normal people would only sleep. Then she also understood why Chen Zhao had jumped off the ship. On Alger's ship, Chen Zhao had also jumped off. Every time he woke up, the first thing he did was strip naked and jump into the sea. He didn't care about the water temperature and just jumped in. Plus, he didn't care if the ship would throw him off. Anyway, none of Chen Zhao's subordinates were worried. Chen Zhao could climb onto the ship by himself every time. This time, Chen Zhao climbed onto the ship again. FIOS stood at the edge of the ship and looked at Chen Zhao's figure. Over the past few days, she, Lisa, Hallease, and Alice had become familiar with each other. She'd heard many things about Chen Zhao. The girls concluded and told FIOS that Chen Zhao was a tyrant through and through. His temper was extremely bad and no one was allowed to disobey his orders. Of course, Chen Zhao was also very protective. Mr. Chen, how can I join the supernatural organization? You don't have magic or bloodline awakening. You don't have the right to join. Chen Zhao glanced at FIOS. Plus, many of their operations are very dangerous. Why can Mr. Klaus's lightning squad? They were elites in the anti-terrorist force before joining. What about you? Miss Elite, what's the point of joining the supernatural organization? Do you want us to take care of you? So, if I can train to the level of the lightning squad, I can join the supernatural organization. Yes. If you can train to the level of Klaus's team, I'll allow you to join. What a joke. With the lightning squad's current strength, even without guns, one person could beat 20 to 30 people. FIOS had really underestimated the lightning squad. The armed ship sailed for more than a day and approached Hawaii. However, it didn't directly enter Hawaii. Instead, it stopped at a nearby island and then entered the main island with a yacht. After all, the armed ship was illegally modified. If it approached the main island rashly, there would probably be warships coming to greet them. After reaching Hawaii, the first thing Chen Zhao did was to ensure Feilai's safety. President, should we stay in Hawaii for a day or two? West asked. The girls seemed to want to stay and play for a day or two. Sure, book the plane tickets for the day after tomorrow. You're free to do whatever you want today and tomorrow. Now that Hallease's problem was solved, everyone, including Chen Zhao, was free of any burden. Oh, have we found a hotel for tonight? Yes, West said. We can go now. Chapter 1097. It wasn't a hotel, but the interior decorations were rather luxurious. The style was also very fitting for the theme. Pirates. The front desk, the ushers, and even the security guards and cleaners were all wearing pirate outfits like in movies. After checking in, everyone went to the elevator. When the elevator door opened, Chen Zhao saw a familiar face. Gurette walked out of the elevator with an eye patch. A man beside Gurette bumped into Chen Zhao. Don't you have eyes? Before Chen Zhao could say anything, Gurette had already kicked the man to the ground. Boss, walking out of the elevator, Gurette looked at Chen Zhao. Mr. Chen, please. Did you open this hotel? I opened it with that money, Gurette said, smiling. Chen Zhao waved his hand and entered the elevator with the people from the association. Boss, do you know that guy? The subordinate asked, feeling wronged. Gurette knew that whenever his subordinate saw a woman, he couldn't help but use this method to provoke the man beside him. Most of the time, this method wouldn't get him a woman's favor. But he still liked it. He felt that this was how a man should be. Gurette looked at his subordinate. Next time you want to provoke someone, you better know who you're talking to. Otherwise, you might die without knowing why. Is that Asian some big shot? A politician or a gang? Butcher, Gurette said indifferently. All of us combined might not be as many as him. Hearing Gurette's words, the subordinate paled in fear. Most of the people in the hotel were members of Gurette's pirate crew. Basically, everyone had blood on their clothes. But hearing Gurette's words, the subordinate knew that he'd offended someone important. President, do you know that woman? Pirates in this area, Chen Zhao said indifferently. Is this hotel really opened by pirates? Then would they? No, this hotel is very clean. It should be a proper business. Plus, they wouldn't dare to do anything to us. Thinking about it, everyone felt that Chen Zhao's words made sense. What was so scary about pirates? No matter how scary they were, could they be scarier than their president? In their eyes, no one was scarier than Chen Zhao. West knew how to behave. He booked a luxurious suite for Chen Zhao. After showering, Chen Zhao planned to lie down and have a good rest. Over the past few days at sea, Chen Zhao hadn't had a good night's sleep. This time, he could finally have a good sleep. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Chen Zhao opened the door bare-chested. He saw Gulai standing at the door. What happened to your eyes? Gurette pulled down his blindfold. Nothing much, it's just to fit in with the hotel's theme. Mr. Chen, won't you invite me in? Come in. Chen Zhao moved aside. Gulai came in with a bottle of wine. Do you want a drink? No, you must have something to talk to me about. I like to talk when I'm awake. Mr. Chen, I won't trick you. Hee hee. You are a pirate. All right, I don't dare, Gulai said calmly. Chen Zhao kept smiling. He wouldn't believe Gurette's words. Gurette was a vicious pirate. She had done many things like murder and arson. All right, you don't have to be so courteous. Just tell me, what do you want from me? Mr. Chen, do you know about the Battle of the Great Ring Trench 3 years ago? Battle of the Great Ring Trench? You mean war? No, Gurette said. It's about the 4 tons of gold that Citibank transferred to the European branch. The transport plane crashed when it flew above the trench. The forces and pirates nearby all wanted to take the gold for themselves, so it started the battle. So the owner of the gold, Citibank, never thought about taking it back. After all, with Citibank's wealth, they can totally hire a strong armed force and take back the gold. Unless the country intervenes, no one can compete with Citibank's wealth. Of course, Citibank hired 2 cruisers from the Navy. It was also because of the addition of the 2 cruisers that the situation became more tense at that time. The battle finally broke out after the gold was salvaged by the warships. The 2 Navy warships were sunk. Chen Zhao couldn't help but look up at Gurette. Someone really dared to attack the government's navy. The American Navy was known as the strongest in the world. Moreover, the American government had always been vengeful. If 2 cruisers were sunk, this wouldn't be over. What about the gold? Who got it in the end? No one got it, Gurette said. How is that possible? It can't be that everyone died together, right? The biggest pirate group in the Pacific took the gold, Big Belly. What a weird name. Can someone really tolerate their pirate group's name? Aren't they afraid of being laughed at? They're a family pirate group, Gurette said calmly. Big Belly has 400 years of history. They're the oldest pirate group. Fine, what are you trying to say? You want to fight with me for the 4 tons of gold? Big Belly has already been destroyed. Destroyed. Why? Didn't you say that they have 400 years of history? They were too confident and arrogant. They suffered from the government's revenge. After that battle, the American army found the island they were hiding on and bombed it. The entire island was almost flattened. So the gold should be in the government's hands too, right? No. Although the American army destroyed Big Belly, they didn't get the gold. On the contrary, the navy that participated in the operation also suffered heavy losses. Why? In the face of a fleet, I'm afraid no private organization would be able to fight back, right? Big Belly has lived on Nanchi Island for generations. Just like me, they've been haunted by the curse of pirates for generations. They're also guarding the same seal, but the American bombing unlocked the seal. Nanchi Island and the surrounding waters have completely turned into hell. Countless monsters occupy that area. No one can go near that area anymore. Not interested. Chen Zhao shook his head. Why? Gurette asked. She'd been very confident in convincing Chen Zhao. Moreover, Chen Zhao was the most suitable partner she could think of. Chen Zhao kept his promise. As long as she wasn't two-faced, he wouldn't take her share for himself. Plus, Chen Zhao was powerful. He was also the most capable and most likely to deal with those monsters. Chapter 1098. It's not worth it, Chen Zhao said. What was the price of 4 tons of gold? It was probably around $160 million. If Chen Zhao and Gurette worked together, they'd get 2 tons of gold, which was around $80 million. If he could actually earn $80 million, Chen Zhao would go through mountains of daggers and seas of fire. But he couldn't actually earn $80 million. That was gold that couldn't see the light of day. Risfar had helped Chen Zhao deal with the gold last time. Risfar had been the one who'd helped him deal with the gold last time. But the real fee wasn't a small amount. The lowest was 30%. Such a huge cleanup would be 40% or even 50%. In other words, all the hard work he had put in had been earned by the agency. Chen Zhao would rather not have anything than do such a thankless job. So, he rejected it decisively. No. Why? Tens of millions isn't worth it, Chen Zhao said honestly. Actually, Chen Zhao didn't want to work for the agency. If it was just to earn tens of millions, Chen Zhao would be happy to do it. But he couldn't accept giving half of the money to an unrelated person. Mr. Chen, I think you're mistaken. It's not just 4 tons of gold. Not just 4 tons. Didn't you say it yourself? I'm talking about Big Belly's 400 years of treasure, Gurette said, his eyes flashing. 400 years of treasure. How much is that? Conservatively speaking, no less than $500 million. Hearing this number, Chen Zhao was conflicted again. To be honest, Chen Zhao was tempted. But if he had to turn these things into money and then launder them, he'd have to earn a lot more from the agency fee. This made Chen Zhao feel very pained. In the end, Chen Zhao could only get 1/3 of the value of everything. Of course, Chen Zhao knew why the agency fee was so high. Actually, they'd taken a huge risk, but Chen Zhao still couldn't accept it. Wait. I need to make a call first. Then I can decide if I want to work with you or not. Of course. Gurette wasn't worried that Chen Zhao would leak the news. After all, she trusted Chen Zhao's credibility. She'd chosen to work with Chen Zhao because of his credibility. Not many people knew the location of Nanchi Island. Furthermore, she was the only one who knew where the treasure was hidden. Chen Zhao walked out of the balcony and called West. West, are you in the hotel? President, I brought some people out to play. Didn't you say you wanted to sleep just now? That's why I didn't call you. Let me ask you something. Speak. If I find the pirate's treasure, do you have a way to give me the actual price? President. I don't launder money. The item this time might be worth more than 200 million, Chen Zhao said. The commission can be used as our association's fund. West was silent for a long time before he finally said, President, did you find the pirate's treasure? Not yet. Someone wants to cooperate with me. President, first of all, we have to find a buyer. Then, we have to go through financial channels to make the money see the light of day. We will lose a considerable amount of money. Just give me a number. If it's 200 million, how much can I get? About 120 million US dollars. How much will the association get? About 30 million. President, I'm telling you the actual price. So, 25% of the 200 million will go into someone else's pocket. President, this money can't be saved. I found a legal channel, but they won't work for us for no reason. Chen Zhao thought about it. West was the safest channel and also the one that offered the highest price. There couldn't be a channel that was cheaper than West. Moreover, 30 million would go into the association's hands. Relatively speaking, it was the most valuable channel to turn illegal into legal. After hanging up, Chen Zhao walked into the living room. When do we leave? Chen Zhao asked. We can't move right now, Gurette said. Why? Nanchi Island's location is very special. It's submerged in the sea for half a year. Only when the Pacific Ocean flows west and the water level drops will the island surface. We have to wait for half a year. No, the water level will drop by mid-March or early April. We can go to the island then. Sure. Let me know then. You have my contact number, right? Yes. What do I need to prepare? Chen Zhao asked. Prepare for battle. Not only on land, but also in the water. We might face a huge test as soon as we get close to the sea. Chen Zhao was really looking forward to it. Of course, he wasn't looking forward to the battle. He was looking forward to the rewards. After all, if everything went smoothly, Chen Zhao would become a real billionaire. Actually, with his current assets, he was already a billionaire. Mirror Lake and the surrounding land were worth at least 40 million. The yacht was also worth more than 10 million. The shares of Marina's restaurant were also worth more than 10 million. There was also his savings in the bank. Soon, Alger would have to pay him 20 million. Chen Zhao's net worth was already close to 100 million. However, because he had to build a new house, his bank savings had been emptied again. Even after the house was built, it would still cost a few million to buy the interior. Therefore, Chen Zhao's funds were still relatively tight. Now that he had a project that could earn at least 100 million, Chen Zhao was very tempted. Then it settled. Should we open a bottle of champagne to celebrate? Let's hope our cooperation goes well. Leave the wine and you can go, Chen Zhao said, smiling. My girlfriend is pregnant. I don't want to drink with another woman in a hotel room right now. Fine. Gurette put the wine on the table helplessly. Oh, $50,000 for this wine. I'll put it on your account. With that, Gurette turned around and left elegantly. Fuck, $50,000. I don't want this wine anymore. Come back, come back. Unfortunately, Gurette left too quickly. Chen Zhao could only reluctantly leave the $50,000 champagne. However, he really couldn't bear to open the bottle. He had never spent $50,000 on a bottle of wine in his life. Chapter 1099. Chen Zhao suddenly remembered. Back then, on Nasamara Island. When the Beidou's comet came, there was still blood on the altar. The blood of the San Seco family. Chen Zhao remembered that Harris, Adam, and Ava had all released their blood. Wait, no. Their blood wasn't to activate the white key, but to draw out the red key. According to Harris, the white key used to be Nasamara's copper ore. Everyone could use it. The only difference was whether they had a special bloodline or not. So, only the San Seco family could use it. Because everyone could use it, the San Seco family wanted to create a key that only the family could use. The way to use Nasamara's ore was to pierce someone's palm and stain it with blood. It would determine the person's bloodline and stimulate the awakening of the bloodline. In other words, the problem wasn't the Beto's comet, but blood. More accurately, it was reacting to demon blood. Chen Zhao cut his right palm and dragged the wound. He dripped the blood from the mouth of gluttony onto the white key. The white key started absorbing Chen Zhao's blood. However, the white key only absorbed it. It didn't have any other reaction. Chen Zhao sat on the ground and stared at the white key for a long time. Suddenly, he had an idea. From the current situation, the white key didn't just activate someone's bloodline. It also absorbed it. It absorbed someone's special bloodline, transformed it, and then returned it to the user. What was the point of doing this? The Agama Bridge, Nasamara's path to heaven. The key wasn't to take people somewhere. It was to elevate their bodies or souls. Why did the San Seco family use the blood of tens of thousands of people to make a fake key? There were two possibilities. One was that someone told them to do this. The other was that they'd researched it themselves. Why did they research it? Because the Nasamara ore was bloodthirsty. It sucked blood. So the San Seco family thought that they could use blood to create the red key. And a lot of blood. The Nasamara ore needed to absorb a lot of blood. And human blood wasn't effective. It needed demon blood. A lot of demon blood to truly activate the white key. It seemed that he had to go to hell soon. Wasn't Beelzebub Sophie waging war on other territories? In that case, he would definitely be able to collect a lot of evil demon blood. He could use this opportunity to verify his conjecture. Chen Zhao walked out of room 01. The people from the association were more diligent today. Henry was directing the work of the captives. He was now the manager of the association. Although he was not an official member, he was still an official. President, can you give me the deep abyss demon you caught last time? Harid asked, approaching Chen Zhao. Sure, but you have to tell me what you want to do with the fiend abyssal demons. I want to use it to make my corpse demon. You can turn abyss demons into corpse demons. Chen Zhao asked in surprise. After all, Chen Zhao could also use the dark serum to control the demons, just like how he could control the two mothers. But this way, he would need to use up a large amount of dark serum, which wasn't worth it. Thus, Chen Zhao wasn't interested in the demon's corpse. Chen Zhao preferred monsters that weren't very big but were very powerful. For example, the mother's body had extraordinary combat power. Of course, Chen Zhao's control could only use the speed and strength of the monster's body. He couldn't use other abilities. Harid shook her head. I don't have enough power to control it yet, but I want to take it slow. I'll deal with the corpse demon first and then control it when I'm strong enough. Okay, put the demon's corpse in the basement. After all, it's too eye-catching. Just then, Chen Zhao's phone rang. Hey, Steven. How come you're free to call me today? Chen, where's Wang He? The crew is going to start work in a few days. I need him to report. I'll tell him to go today. Oh, and you said last time that you're going to introduce me to the crew. Okay, I'll bring him over. I'll give you the address. Call me when you get there. Gaya, Chen Zhao turned around and called into the building. Gaia poked her head out from the rooftop. What? Where's Wang He? You and him have to report to the crew today. Oh, he's in my gym. Gaia jumped down from the rooftop. The 4-story height posed no threat to her. Gaia couldn't fall from a height of a few hundred meters without getting hurt. However, it shouldn't be difficult for her to fall within 30 meters. Chen Zhao and Gaia went to the gym together. Hey, Wang He's over there. Chen Zhao looked over and saw Wang He practicing his punches against a sandbag. It had to be said that in just over a month, Wang He seemed to have been reborn. His sweatshirt was completely soaked and his skin was darker. Wang He probably wouldn't be able to be a little fresh meat anymore after returning to China. However, he already had a good foundation, so he looked even more manly now. It seemed that he did have a tough and resolute temperament. Wang He, Chen Zhao called out. Wang He turned his head and looked at him. Mr. Chen, why are you here? Steven's crew is going to start filming in a few days. You have to report to the crew. Come with us. Oh, okay. I'll clean up. Wang He had really changed. In the past, he would need at least an hour to put on makeup. Now, he only needed 10 minutes to wash up and change. Then he would change into a celebrity suit, cap, and sunglasses. This was overseas and not many people knew Wang He. However, ever since Wang He was chosen as the male lead in Steven's new movie, Wang He's news in China never stopped. Many entertainment media outlets sent reporters to Los Angeles to look for him. In the car, Chen Zhao would occasionally observe Wang He from the corner of his eyes. Compared to his previous flamboyance, Wang He was more reserved now. More accurately, he was more mature now. Gaia is also the martial arts director. If you have anything you don't understand during filming, you can ask her. Ms. Gaia, please take care of me in the future. Wang He wouldn't run away anymore. At the beginning of training, Wang He had been thinking about how to avoid training almost every day. However, ever since he was severely punished by Gaia, Wang He knew that he couldn't escape. Soon, the crew arrived. The security guard didn't recognize Chen Zhao's car, but he recognized Chen Zhao. Chapter 1100. Chen Zhao had been to 2 or 3 film crews before. He was basically familiar with the filming process. Wang He didn't report to the crew today because they were going to start filming. Instead, he was familiar with the director, the crew, and the other actors. That way, he could film better. Hi, Chen, you're finally willing to appear before me. I think you've been missing recently. Seeing Chen Zhao, Steven walked up and gave him a warm hug. Steven, let me introduce you to my combat coach, Gaia. In addition to being the director of movements for the crew, she can also be used as the crew's security. Unless it's the Department of Defense that comes looking for trouble, I think she should be able to solve all problems. Hi, Ms. Gaia. We've met before. Steven walked up and shook hands with Gaia. Steven and Gaia had met at Chen Zhao's party. More accurately, they hadn't met. They'd only met once. However, because of Gaia's figure and Steven's professional habits, Gaia's special figure left a deep impression on him. Gaia's figure was one of the rarer special actors in the film industry. She was mainly used as a stunt double. Of course, Gaia wasn't just a special actor. She could also be used as a stuntman. She could basically meet all of Steven's requirements. The pay of special actors was also relatively high. Some outstanding special actors were even paid more than the 3rd or 4th role in the movie. Ms. Gaia, I have no problem with your abilities, but there are some things you must know. We're shooting a movie. Apart from being realistic, the action must also have a sense of the scene. What was a sense of the scene? For example, when a soldier fought with a regular person, the outcome would be decided in one move. But this kind of fight would not have a sense of the scene. The director of a film crew didn't teach you how to knock someone down in the shortest time. Instead, he taught the actors how to make beautiful moves and complete some difficult moves. Of course, I understand. I'll do my best to cooperate with Mr. Steven. Gaia wouldn't be proud to say that she didn't want to teach the fancy moves in the film. Stubborn people weren't easy to get along with. Movies were movies, but fights were fights. Ms. Gaia, if a person wants to climb up to a 5-story building in the shortest time, what should they do? What tools do they need? Steven trusted Chen Zhao, but he still wanted to test Gaia. After all, he attached great importance to movies. Chen Zhao smiled but didn't say anything. He looked at Gaia. I can demonstrate, Gaia said. Demonstration? Steven was surprised. Chen Zhao leaned close to Gaia and whispered, try to be fancy. Don't be too direct. I know. Gaia looked around. What do you think of this building? Next to the crew was an office building that was 8 or 9 stories high. Isn't that too high? Steven asked. After all, if he made a mistake, he could easily get hurt. Gaia hadn't signed the contract yet, but she was still his friend. So if Gaia got hurt because of the demonstration, it would be hard for Steven to stand by and watch. I won't. Gaia walked up to the office building and studied it. Then Gaia sprinted and stopped 2 meters away from the office building. Gaia suddenly exerted strength and leaped onto a 2-meter-tall trash can. What an amazing jumping ability. Steven's eyes lit up. Gaia didn't stop. She jumped toward the window on the 2nd floor and put 1 foot on the window. But Gaia only used the momentum to jump up and grab the air conditioner on the 3rd floor. Then she leaped up and did a somersault in the air. She was already on the 4th floor. The whole process took less than 30 seconds. Steven and Wang He were already dumbfounded. But Gaia didn't stop. She continued climbing. In the process of climbing, Gaia kept playing all kinds of tricks. Soon, in a minute and a half, Gaia was on the roof of the office building. Ms. Gaia, it's done. Come down. Gaia glanced at the outer wall of the office building. Then she grabbed a drainage pipe and slid down, landing smoothly on the ground. Steven's face was bright red. He was clearly very excited. Ms. Gaia, when can we sign the contract? One had to admit that Gaia's performance was too amazing. Putting aside Gaia's fighting skills, just based on her performance just now, she was definitely the best in this field. As long as she had this skill, she would be able to get the highest pay as a stunt performer. Gaia has other skills. She's good with all kinds of guns, planes, helicopters, tanks, submarines, deep diving, skydiving, and even driving. Gaia is a legendary super agent, right? Gaia is a retired soldier. She used to be an instructor in the Marine Corps, Chen Zhao said. Chen, you've brought me a perfect action actress. Wang He also trained with Gaia for a month. He can't do what Gaia does, but his foundation is pretty solid. Chen Zhao seemed to be praising himself. Of course, I believe you. Steven was indeed worried that Chen Zhao was doing him a favor. But their movie this time was an action movie. Choreography was a very important job. Steven was worried that if the person Chen Zhao recommended didn't pass, it would be troublesome for him. Now, Steven wasn't worried at all. Gaia's job in the crew wasn't as simple as acting. She could also act as military director. For example, she could give the most professional guidance on what equipment the police used, the army used, and the bandits used. For example, she could point out what was reasonable and what wasn't for an operation. In the police and action movies we usually watch, there was actually a lot of research on what equipment the characters used. Ordinary people might not be able to understand it, but film critics, or even some military experts, could understand it. Or how a regular person made a bomb would require military experts to explain. Gaia, how about a role in the movie? Steven asked. I have a great idea. You can be the Easter egg in the first episode and lead to the character in the sequel. Maybe you'll be the big boss in the second episode. Chapter 11:01. Steven and Gaia chatted happily. It was obvious that they wanted to work together. Steven could accept most of the basic conditions. Coupled with Chen Zhao's face, Steven accepted it without hesitation. Because Gaia and Wang He needed to stay on set and familiarize themselves with the environment, Chen Zhao left alone. Chen Zhao went to Marina Restaurant mainly to see how it was doing. Marina Restaurant was doing well. Chen Zhao didn't need to check the accounts every day. It made about $300,000 to $400,000 of profit every month. Chen Zhao only needed to go to the restaurant once a month. The accountant would also send him the bills every month. Marina Restaurant was a very high-quality business. Without Amira's help, Chen Zhao wouldn't have been able to buy 60% of Marina Restaurant's shares. Of course, as Chen Zhao's partner, Nafa Twain didn't lose money. After all, he'd gotten a good deal from Amira. When Chen Zhao arrived at the restaurant, it was noon. There were quite a lot of people, but there wasn't a long line like last time. The restaurant would only have so many customers during business hours in the evening. Chen Zhao sat at the counter and chatted with the staff, learning about the restaurant. Just then, someone patted his shoulder. Turning around, Chen Zhao saw that it was Li Qiong, but there was a man beside her. Old friend, why are you here? Li Qiong was confused. If Chen Zhao was a customer here, he wouldn't be sitting at the counter. Oh, I came over for something, Chen Zhao said. This is... Hi, I'm Max. The man reached out to shake Chen Zhao's hand. A blind date, Li Qiong said in Mandarin. He looks good. I wish you success. Thank you, but I won't chat with you anymore. Li Qiong knew her limits. She was dating Max. She couldn't leave him aside just because she'd met Chen Zhao. After the two sat down, the waiter came over to take their orders. Li, is that gentleman your ex-boyfriend? Max asked. No, he's my high school classmate, Li Qiong answered. Li Qiong replied, but I haven't seen him for many years. It should be 10 years. Good. Looks like he's not my competitor. Max was quite humorous. Li Qiong was a little surprised. After interacting with Max, she felt that he was a very confident person. Moreover, Max's conditions were enough to support his confidence. He graduated from a prestigious university and was now a senior executive of a company. Coupled with his good looks and humorous way of talking, it was hard to imagine what would happen next. Do you know him? Li Qiong asked. No. Max shook his head. Then why are you worried that he will become your competitor? Didn't you see the account book of this restaurant in his hand? He's a partner or owner of this restaurant. At least he's rich. The person holding the account book might not be the partner or the boss. It could be the accountant. After saying that, Li Qiong paused. She remembered that Chen Zhao was a professor at UCLA and a medical major at that. It was impossible for him to become an accountant of a restaurant. After all, an accountant needed an accounting certificate. Li Qiong suddenly realized that she couldn't understand Chen Zhao anymore. In high school, this boy was not good-looking and did not have outstanding grades. When they met again, it was as if they didn't even recognize each other. He was also so successful in his career. It was much better than she had imagined. Ha! The person standing behind the counter is the manager of the restaurant. Do you think a regular accountant can make the manager stand across from him while he sits? Just then, a waiter came to the table with a plate of Australian prawns. This isn't what we ordered, Max said. Hi, Mr. Chen treated you to this. Li Qiong looked up at the counter, but Chen Zhao had already left. Li, are you sure your high school friend isn't interested in you? He already has his own family. Fine. Max smiled bitterly. Oh, my company has an event this weekend. Are you interested in going with me? What event? Li Qiong had a good impression of Max. At least Max met all three of Li Qiong's requirements. He was young, rich, educated, and good-looking. However, Chen Zhao kept popping up in Li Qiong's mind. She always felt that Max was a little lacking compared to Chen Zhao. It's an executive party at Michelle Manor. Sorry, I'm afraid I don't have time this weekend, Li Qiong rejected in a roundabout way. Fine. Max was smart and didn't continue pestering her. Max, I'm curious. Why would a man like you listen to your family's arrangements and go on a blind date? You don't seem like someone who lacks women. Before I was 25, I had a lot of experience in relationships, but after that, I completely focused on work. As a result, I've been single for the past 3 years. My parents want a grandchild. Okay. I don't mean to treat women as birth machines. I just think that it's time to start a family. I thought it was only in China that parents would urge their children to get married. What about you? You don't seem like a woman without any pursuers. Contrary to you, I've been looking for a job. I don't have time to think about it. I have time to focus on relationships. Li Qiong had been looking for a job recently, but it was really difficult to find one that satisfied her. Her education was neither high nor low. The positions that required her were either not qualified enough or the pay was too low. She didn't like them at all. Coupled with her lack of work experience, many jobs had passed her by. Li Qiong hadn't worked since graduation. Either the pay was low, the position was low, or she wasn't qualified enough. Our company is looking for a business manager, Max said. If you're interested, you can try. Of course, I don't have the final say on this. Okay, thank you. For the weekend party, you can also go and meet the executives of our company. That way, you'll have a better chance of passing the interview. Max, don't you want to invite a girl you admire? I can't find a suitable girl right now, but if I go to the party alone, I'll be embarrassed. So, I hope you can help me save the situation. Then, may I have the honor to invite you to the party? Chapter 1102. Senior Lit, what do you want to drink? I'll go buy it for you. Senior Lit, are you free tonight? 2 bitches. A few girls surrounded Lit Grove. Lit Grove's grades weren't great. But his father was the famous movie star, Drow Grove. Moreover, when Lit Grove picked up girls, he would always use his father's name. He would also tell girls that he would invite anyone to a celebrity's party. Plus, with his outstanding appearance, he always had a group of fangirls in school. Every time Lit Grove came to school, many girls would fight for his affections. Li Mu and her best friend, Vestana, sat on a bench in the school. Lit Grove and a few girls walked past them. Vestana, who's that guy? Lit Grove, the famous playboy in school. Don't tell me you're interested in him. I'm not crazy. Li Mu rolled her eyes. Plus, there are many guys more handsome than him in school. His dad's a Hollywood star. No wonder he's so popular. Just then, Li Mu saw Chen Zhao walk toward Lit Grove. Then, Lit Grove chased the girls around him away. Like a servant, he nodded and bowed to Chen Zhao. Professor Chen, he's the same as you. We're both from China. You know him? Li Mu asked, surprised. Professor Chen is the person our school can't afford to offend. Why? The boxing club has spread the word that anyone who messes with Professor Chen at school is their enemy. Is Professor Chen familiar with the boxing club? The boxing club star, Tiger, is his student. Tiger. That Tiger who won last year's WBA championship belt. Yes, that's him. Teacher. Lit Grove immediately became obedient when he saw Chen Zhao. Ever since he heard Eris talk about their experience at sea and on Nasamara, Lit Grove was very unwilling. He also wanted to experience this kind of adventure. When this experience came out of the mouth of others, it seemed very thrilling and exciting. Chen Zhao fought against an old witch who had lived for more than 300 years. It made Lit Grove's blood boil with excitement. He really hoped that Chen Zhao could bring him along on his next adventure. I heard from the people at Chantilly Hospital that you've been working very hard recently. Chen Zhao glanced at Ritter Grove. If you can continue, your punishment can be reduced by half a year. Teacher. I don't need to shorten my time. As long as you take me with you next time, it'll be fine. Chen Zhao was surprised. He thought that Lit Grove would be eager to get rid of his job as a morgue guard. After all, even Chen Zhao himself might not be able to endure that place. Actually, Chen Zhao had underestimated Little Grove. After spending 2 days and 2 nights in the Crypt Demon's lair, Lit Grove was much braver. Plus, after coming into contact with supernatural incidents, he knew that evil spirits were not that big of a deal. He even got to know quite a few evil spirits in the headquarters of the association. To put it simply, people were afraid because they were resistant to the unknown. But after getting familiar with them, it didn't seem to be that big of a deal. The corpses in the morgue were actually just that. Talk to me about going on an adventure when your grades are good enough, Chen Zhao said. Lit Grove immediately stopped talking. His mind wasn't on his studies anymore. However, after his bloodline awakened, he realized that his mind was much more flexible. Teacher. I'll try my best. Lit Grove was conflicted. Should he ask Maggie for tutoring? Of Chen Zhao's 4 students, Maggie was the best academically. The other 3 students all had their own plans. La Paul had dreams of becoming a star and was a model. Evely was a sports star and swimming legend. Lit Grove, on the other hand, was a rich and famous father, and he was more interested in supernatural events. Only Maggie wanted to be a doctor wholeheartedly. Of course, this also had to do with Maggie's family background and environment. Maggie's family was very poor. Not only was she interning at Chantilly Hospital, but she also had a part-time job as a cashier in a supermarket. If she could graduate successfully and get assigned to Chantilly Hospital, she could at least improve her life. So, she worked very hard in her studies and internship. Putting aside Evely, Chen Zhao liked Maggie the most out of the 3 students. Maggie's original motivation was money, but at least she would work hard for it. At the very least, she was very dedicated and serious in her job. There was nothing wrong with studying and working hard for money. Chen Zhao didn't think there was anything wrong with this. Did one have to practice to be a doctor? Go do your own thing. I'll go check out the swimming pool. When Chen Zhao arrived, he saw many students watching the swimming team's competition in the audience seats. Chen Zhao easily found Evely. Evely, slow down, slow down. You can't do this. You have to listen to my tactics. Chen Zhao saw a big-bellied coach yelling from the shore. Chen Zhao frowned. What's wrong with this coach? Evely was very energetic. She could maintain this speed until 600 meters and then sprint in the last 200 meters. Evely slowing down now didn't mean she could sprint faster in the last 200 meters. After 800 meters, Evely climbed onto the shore. The coach immediately ran over and yelled at Evely, "Evely, you didn't follow my tactics again." Evely, on the other hand, was drying her hair with a towel. She ignored the coach's chatter. "Your tactical arrangements have lowered my time by at least 20 seconds. You don't understand. You're not used to my rhythm yet. After you get used to it, you'll swim faster than your original time." The coach was very excited. He could almost see Evely using his tactics in the competition to swim better than her original record. Then, through Evely, he would receive attention and become famous. He felt that he had completely grasped Evely's data. As long as she listened to him, she would definitely swim better. "Evely." Chen Zhao walked over. "Are you done training?" "Yes." Seeing Chen Zhao, Evely's eyes brightened. In terms of training, the only person she would listen to was Chen Zhao. Even when she was training with the national team, the coach of the national team couldn't control her. After all, the only indicator on the national team was results. Evely had enough qualifications to resist any request. She would only follow Chen Zhao's training requirements. Chapter 1103. You're Evely's coach. Chen Zhao turned to look at the coach before him. Yes. Zabi actually knew Chen Zhao. After all, Chen Zhao was the school team leader for the sports event. However, Zabi had never liked Chen Zhao. He felt that Chen Zhao had only become the team leader because of Tiger. Of course, he hadn't planned on having a conflict with Chen Zhao. But now, Chen Zhao wanted to pull Evely away. He couldn't take it anymore. In his opinion, Evely had to train according to his methods. Only then could she get good results. Only then could he have a chance to become a famous coach. He just had to think about what kind of rewards he would receive after Evely shocked the world. Zabi felt a bit excited. Evely was also the best stepping stone for his chance to become famous. "Your training method isn't good," Chen Zhao said matter-of-factly. "How can you say that my training method isn't good? I'm a professional coach. I have a swimming coach certificate. I'm a second-level national coach. So what? Did you train any famous students?" Chen Zhao looked at Zabi. "Did you?" Zabi retorted. If he had any famous students, would he go to a university to be a coach? Chen Zhao pointed at him. "I trained Evely. What do you think of her?" "Nonsense. How can you train Evely?" "Coach Zabi, you better be more polite to Chen. When I broke the women's world record for the first time and when I broke the men's world record, Chen was the one who specially trained me. You have no right to shout in front of him." Zabi's expression froze. Evely was the best proof. If she admitted it, then he was her coach. Reorganizing his words, Zabi said, "Evely, you're so talented. It doesn't matter who trains you, but you're at a bottleneck now. Normal people can't help you improve at all. Only a professional coach like me can." Evely didn't think so. After all, her results in the school team had barely been outstanding. Outside of school, any professional athlete could easily beat her. She couldn't even break the school record, let alone the men's world record. But Chen Zhao was the best proof. Chen Zhao's greatest help to her was training her stamina. Evely could clearly feel that she could even participate in the decathlon. Nothing was clearer than this proof. Her results also proved that Chen Zhao's training was effective. Evely's results also proved that Chen Zhao's training method was effective. "As long as you swim according to my method, you'll definitely do well. You'll even break your previous record." As long as you swim according to my method, you will definitely get a good result. You might even break your previous record. Let me ask you. Before this, did you teach any outstanding disciples? Evely continued to ask. Not in the past, but you will be my most outstanding achievement. Sorry, I'm not interested in becoming your disciple. Also, I'll apply to the school to reject your training later. If the school doesn't agree, then I'll refuse to participate in the competition. Chin, R, Zhao, R, Chin. You can Chin. Zhao, him. You've Chin. Zhao, can, Zhao, can, do, Zhao, can, zs Chin Zhao, he, you, at, Chin. At. Zhao, z, comma, Zhao, he, Zhao, they, Zhao, Zhao. If Evely didn't participate, the school would be in big trouble. After all, the school had received sponsorship fees. And why would the merchants give sponsorship fees? Because of Evely. If it was a normal competition, the school would have to spend at least a few $1 million to sponsor the competition. Evely's sponsorships could reach tens of millions of dollars. After all, Evely's audience was too big. She was even more popular than the sports event itself. But now, only a few $100,000 could be used to sponsor the games. What could be more worthwhile than this? Because of that, the school would never allow Evely to withdraw from the competition. Zabi had no right to speak in front of Evely. Chen Zhao glanced at Zabi. He asked for it. Zabi's face was red, and he glared at Evely with anger. Let's go for a walk, he said. Okay, let me change my clothes. Evely quickly changed her clothes. Ignoring Zabi's hateful and angry gaze, he followed Chen Zhao and left. I remember that the previous coach was Mr. Kunk. Where's Mr. Kunk? Chen Zhao asked, confused. The previous coach wasn't very talented, but Chen Zhao had a good impression of him. At least he wouldn't randomly change the students' swimming habits. Before Chen Zhao took over Evely's training, Kunk had always been the school's swimming coach. Mr. Kunk became famous because of me. Then he received an invitation from the French national team to be their coach. Chen Zhao really didn't expect Kunk to be the coach of the French team. What do you think? Are you angry that Mr. Kunk took the fruits of your training? No, I have a good impression of Mr. Kunk. Chen Zhao's way of doing things was that he wouldn't care about people he liked. If he didn't like someone, he would torture them to death. When Chen Zhao wanted to train Evely, Kunk had been very accommodating. He didn't make things difficult for Evely or Chen Zhao. Chen, I'll swim for 7 minutes first. Everyone was ambitious. At first, Evely only wanted to win the championship in last year's sports event. Who knew that she would swim a world record? Of course, the world record back then didn't count. After all, the sports event wasn't an international competition. However, Evely had entered the national team because of that. Then, her journey to the top began. When she broke the men's world record, her reputation reached the peak. But now, she wanted to improve further. But her current result was already very scary. After all, her best record was 12 seconds faster than the men's world record. What else could she do now? Either he would change the event, or he would completely trample on this record. Chen Zhao wanted to refuse instinctively. Evely immediately added, 10 days, $10 million. Are you paying or is your family paying? Chapter 1104. To be honest, it was hard for Chen Zhao to reject the price. However, Chen Zhao did not agree immediately. Evely, even I'm not confident that I can help you swim for 7 minutes. I want 10 million for 10 days of training, Evely said. I don't mean that you have to help me swim for 7 minutes. Fine, I really can't reject your price. In the end, Chen Zhao gave in to the evil money. Then when do we start training? The sports meet starts on the 27th, Chen Zhao said. Let's start training next week. You can use the sports meet to prove your results. Oh, why don't you switch to other swimming events? I don't want to tire myself out, Evely said. Evely was actually very similar to Chen Zhao. They were both hedonists. If she participated in other events, such as 100-meter freestyle, 200m, 400m, or even 1500m, she was confident that she could win the world championship. She was confident that she could win the world championship and even the world record. However, it was very difficult for her to beat all the records like 800-meter freestyle. If she won the other championships, it would not necessarily be the icing on the cake. If she regretted it, it would drag down her current reputation. Her manager thought so too. Unless Evely could greatly improve her results in other events. You can try other events so that you won't lose interest. Okay, I'll try the 400m and 1500-meter freestyle events this time. That's right. At least I feel like my training is paying off. 10 million for 10 days. 1 day is 1 million. I don't think there's anything more convincing than this. I still hope that you can prove the results of my training with your results. Oh, there's a party this weekend. Come with me. I want to sleep at home, Chen Zhao said honestly. Please, Evely said. I need someone to help me block some disturbances. What kind of party? It's an executive party for my endorsement company. Why would you accept a party like that? You should at least have a student party. I can't help it. The price they offered is too high. It's so high that even I can't refuse it. Although their party is an executive party, it's actually a negotiation between their company's boss and their business partners. I'm actually there to support their company, and the appearance fee of $1 million. Do I have any reason to refuse? Chen Zhao couldn't help but click his tongue. Was it really that easy for top athletes to earn money? He was actually paid $1 million to attend a party. It was even faster than the speed at which he earned money. Why don't you find a bodyguard to go with you? He can be your male companion. Don't you think that teachers should protect their students? Just this once. Just this once, I promise you. All right, give me the address. As my partner, you should at least pick me up with a car. My cargo truck. Are you sure you want me to pick you up? Didn't you drive a sports car before? Although it's my girlfriend's car, it's definitely the worst thing I've ever bought. Ever since my girlfriend got pregnant, we've never driven that car again. It's not as comfortable as the minivan. The pursuit of a sports car was perfection in appearance and extreme power. Although they had been constantly improving the interior experience, there was only so much space, and it was still unable to truly allow the driver to experience true comfort. Forget it, come and pick me up. You can drive a car from my house. I don't want to go to the party in a small truck. Can I refuse? You've already promised me. If I knew this would happen, I would have refused you directly. When Chen Zhao returned home, he saw that Jerlin was playing with a skull. Stunned, Chen Zhao looked up at Fei Lai. Fei Lai, why did you buy a toy like that for Jerlin? Chen Zhao asked, surprised. That's a real skull. It's your mail. I opened it. When Jerlin saw it, she snatched it and played with it herself. If I forcefully took it away, she'd cry. Chen Zhao opened his mouth and turned to look at Jerlin. The skull was 1/3 of Jerlin's size. To be honest, Jerlin looked pretty cute hugging a skull. But the key was, this thing was a skull. Even Chen Zhao didn't want to hug a skull. Of course, he didn't want Jerlin to hug a skull either. Which asterisk shoal send it to me? It's there. It's the same woman called Vanity from last time. Chen Zhao's face darkened. This woman had mailed him the metal object last time. He'd thought it was a treasure map, so he and Fei Lai went out to sea to find it. In the end, it was a huge hole. This time, she'd mailed him a skull. What was she trying to do? Did she have to mess up his life? Jerlin, give this to Daddy. No, no. It's Jerlin's, it's Jerlin's. Jerlin hugged the skull and ran out. Chen Zhao chased after her and grabbed her by the back of her collar. No, no, don't take Jerlin's. Give it to me. Chen Zhao snatched it by force. He didn't know if it was dangerous. Chen Zhao really didn't feel safe letting Jerlin hug it. Daddy. Give it to me, give it to me. Jerlin burst into tears. Chen Zhao handed Jerlin to Fei Lai. Fei Lai, in the future, don't open anything from this Vanity woman. Who knows what's inside? At least open it when I'm around. Who's this Vanity? An explorer. I've gone on 2 expeditions with her. Anything she sends can't be normal. Could there be some magic or curse in it? Fei Lai also felt that she'd been too rash. She hadn't thought about it at first, because Chen Zhao would open packages for her before. She'd often open packages for him too. The two of them had never hidden anything from each other. Hearing Chen Zhao say this, especially with a skull in the package, Fei Lai instantly felt that she'd been too rash. No, Vanity doesn't know magic, but she only interacts with and studies ancient civilizations and ruins. Sometimes, she'll encounter supernatural creatures. She might not even know what she's sending. So we should be careful. If you're curious, call me. Okay, Chen, I was wrong. No, you weren't wrong. Chapter 1105. Chen Zhao tossed the skull in his hand. Fei Lai, on the other hand, was expressionless and fearless. Every time the skull was tossed, little Jerlin would reach out and try to catch it. That was how their family was. They didn't show any signs of resistance towards this kind of thing. Fei Lai knew that this was what Chen Zhao usually came into contact with. Chen Zhao had seen even scarier things before. Therefore, a mere skull was no different from an everyday item at home. Chen, show me the head. He tossed the skull to Fei Lai. Fei Lai took the skull and knocked on the top of the skull. Empty. Chen Zhao couldn't help but roll his eyes. From the texture of the skull, it was probably quite old. Of course, the skull was empty. It couldn't have been chopped off just now. Chen Zhao had been tricked by Vanity last time. Now, he really had the urge to crush the skull. Destroying the item was the safest way to deal with it. However, Chen Zhao still had that curiosity in him. This curiosity made him unable to make up his mind. At the same time, he felt that he just had to be careful. He probably wouldn't fall into the same pit twice. Woof woof. Just then, Walter rushed over, grabbed the skull in his mouth, and ran out. Help! Chen Zhao and Fei Lai exchanged glances. Who shouted for help just now? It looks like that skull. Wanda, come back. Walter held the skull in his mouth and hid behind the door frame. Dogs love to bite bones, and Walter was no exception. There weren't many bones at home for it to chew. Now that it finally had one, it didn't want to give it back. However, like a child who had done something wrong, it hid behind the door frame and looked at them with one eye. Bring that thing over. This bone is for you. Chen Zhao took out an unknown bone from his spatial ring. The bone was more than a meter long and as thick as a thigh. There was still some flesh on it. The owner of this bone must have been quite large when he was alive. Chen Zhao tossed the bone before Walter. Walter immediately dropped the skull and started gnawing on the huge bone. Chen Zhao walked up and picked up the skull. He looked at its eyes. You were the one who made that sound. The skull did not respond again. Chen, let me see. I've never seen a talking skull before. Fei Lai was very interested in the skull, but no matter what she said, it wouldn't speak. Walter, since this one can't talk, it's yours. Don't. The skull spoke again. Are you finally willing to speak? Let's talk it out. Don't throw me to the dogs, the skull said. Holding the skull, Fei Lai asked curiously, Chen, what's this? Evil spirit. I don't know. Chen Zhao shook his head. That's weird. I'll ask a professional tomorrow. Who are you? Fei Lai asked. Lady, hello, I'm Undead Hanks. Undead Hanks. Won't you die? As you can see, even if all that's left of me is a skull, I'm still alive. Then what are you now? Technically speaking, I'm still human because my soul is perfectly preserved, Undead Hank said. What if I throw you into a fire? If I burn you to ashes, will you still be alive? Other than dogs, no other method can kill me. My head can't be destroyed. Really? Let me try. I was once thrown into magma and crushed by machines, but I recovered. Why? Chen Zhao asked curiously. I was once cursed by immortality and then received the Holy Spirit's blessing. The curse and blessing cancelled each other out, so I became what I am now. Then why did you say dogs can kill you? Because my pet dog and I were once stranded on a deserted island. To survive, I ate my dog. From then on, my pet dog turned into an evil spirit and kept pestering me. What about now? It's sealed, so dogs are the only creatures that can kill me. It should be the evil spirit of your pet dog, right? Other dogs can kill you too. I don't know, but I'm already traumatized by dogs. Okay, let's not talk about that for now. Tell me why Vanity sent you to me as a package. I don't know either. Before this, I was always in deep sleep. Walter, go get little 3 and the others. Woof, woof, Walter barked loudly. A while later, Cerberus came out of the forest. Ever since Chen Zhao's land had expanded, Cerberus didn't want to return to the basement anymore. It had enough space to move around, and there weren't many people in this area. Even if someone came, Cerberus would avoid them. When Cerberus appeared at the door, Undead Hank's teeth chattered in fear. Wait. What are you doing? Chen Zhao tossed the skull in the air. Cerberus kept drooling before Chen Zhao. I want to know the truth. Okay. I don't know who Vanity is, but the person who sent me the package told me to bring an Asian to Treasure Island. Treasure Island? Chen Zhao and Fei Lai exchanged glances. Then Chen Zhao asked, what treasure island? The legendary place where the Pirate King's treasure is buried. Legendary? Is that even a legend to you? I've been to Treasure Island, but I died on Treasure Island. As for whether the Pirate King's treasure is really buried on Treasure Island, I don't know either. Aren't you immortal? I mean, I became like this. I was originally like you. I'm a living person. Who are you? The person who sent you to me and told you to bring me to Treasure Island. This made Chen Zhao easily think of Vanity's package last time, which had lured him into the pit. Would he fall for such an obvious trap again? Where's Treasure Island? I don't know the exact location. Are you messing with me? No, I'm serious. I can only find the right direction with the sea breeze. Also, did Fanity tell you to bring me a message? Sir, I don't know the Fanity you mentioned, but from the name, Fanity should be a female. The person who sent me the package is male. Male? That's right. From his physical characteristics, I can be sure that he's a male. Chen Zhao fell into deep thought. The package was named Fanity, but the person who sent it was male. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.